permukaan kanker betina. Ini memang harus diatur karena di situ memang harus bebas rokok. Ini guna melindungi dari masyarakat yang tidak merokok. Artinya perda ini juga melindungi untuk hak-hak dari masyarakat yang tidak merokok.
Perda KTR ini tidak melarang orang merokok, melainkan mengatur tempat-tempat yang harus bebas dari asap rokok. Ada 7 tempat yang ditetapkan sebagai kawasan tanpa rokok.
Perda KTR itu tidak melarang orang merokok kok Mbak, tapi hanya mengatur bahwa tidak di sembarang tempat orang bisa merokok. Tapi ada tempat-tempat tertentu yang kita tidak boleh merokok, antara lain di sekolahan-sekolahan, di tempat-tempat fasilitas kesehatan seperti rumah sakit, puskesmas, klinik-klinik dan seterusnya. Kemudian di kantor-kantor dan di tempat ibadah itu tidak boleh orang merokok.
Sobat Sehat, berikut ini adalah perjalanan Perda KTR di Kulon Progo yang telah dirangkum oleh Semar. Tahun 2014, Perda KTR ini lahir, memberikan angin segar bagi masyarakat karena melindungi hak-hak masyarakat yang tidak merokok. Dr. Hastowardoyo SPOG selaku Bupati Kulon Progo pada saat itu mulai melarang iklan-iklan rokok di Kulon Progo. Pada tahun 2015, pemerintah Kabupaten Kulon Progo semakin gencar melarang iklan rokok. Selain itu, juga diadakan kegiatan-kegiatan yang mendukung Perda KTR. Dan pada tahun 2016, 2017, dan 2018, pemerintah Kabupaten Kulon Progo terus berupaya mewujudkan kawasan tanpa rokok. Kegiatan-kegiatan serupa terus dilakukan untuk mendukung Perda KTR. Monitoring dan evaluasi juga dilakukan agar Perda KTR dapat terlaksana dengan baik. Pada tahun 2019, pemerintah Kabupaten Kulon Progo meluncurkan program Semarku, sinergi bersama mengurangi asap rokok di Kulon Progo. Pada tahun yang sama, Kabupaten Kulon Progo melakukan kaji banding Perda kawasan tanpa rokok ke Kota Bogor. Selain itu, juga dilaksanakan berbagai kegiatan yang berkaitan dengan KTR. Kegiatan yang dilakukan pada tahun 2020 diantaranya yaitu workshop, audiensi, deklarasi, sosialisasi, penindakan, dan workshop rokok. Selain itu, Semarku aktif di sosial media dan radio untuk mengajak generasi milenial berkaitan dengan KM. Pemerintah Kabupaten Kulon Progo melakukan penegakan Perda KTR pada tanggal 24 dan 25 Februari 2021. Setelah itu, pembinaan hasil operasi dilakukan pada tanggal 2 Maret 2021. Sobat sehat, demikian perjalanan Perda KTR yang telah dirangkum oleh Semarku. Terima kasih telah menyaksikan video Semarku. Kulon Progo hebat, hidup sehat, bebas tembakau. Sampai jumpa.
Pembaharu muda bergerak membawa perubahan. IYSTC Indonesia bersatu bersuara.
warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Salam sejahtera untuk kita semua.
Om Swastiastu.
Namo Buddhaya.
Salam kebajikan.
Rahayu.
Masih bersama Nina dan juga rekan saya.
Saya Arya di sini yang akan menemani teman-teman di IYSTC hari kedua.
Hari kedua. Tentunya selamat datang di Indonesian Youth
Welcome to Indonesian Youth Summit on Tobacco Control. Thank you for your attendance at this summit, and thank you for your participation on the first day, and we're still waiting for your active participation up to this afternoon. And to keep our excitement high, let's give you a test. Do you remember yesterday's session? Remember our jargons? Are you ready? Are you ready? Can you turn on your camera so we can share our excitement together? Are you ready? IYSTC 2002. Speaking truth to power. Young, inclusive, meaningful. So give us a big round of applause. Remember, we have to have the excitement for action. And we're on the second day today, and we have to now we will keep our memory back to what we discussed yesterday. So today we're going to get new insights, new knowledge, but before that we will remind ourselves of what we discussed and learned yesterday. So we are going to go to NKCTHK session or the review of yesterday's sessions. So we are going to share with you again what we did yesterday, but we would need your help. We need somebody to help us to flashback about the sessions yesterday. There were sessions yesterday about how tobacco and cigarettes affect the environment, and then there are also other issues. So we will have two persons to help us with the review. The first is about how the tobacco industry affects the future. So please raise your hand if you're willing to help us with the review, and of course you will have also the chance to win our door prize. So we can see two raised hands. First one is Sanata. Please unmute them.
Halo Kak Sanata.
Sanata, are you there?
Apa kabarnya pagi ini?
Alhamdulillah baik.
Alhamdulillah. Kalau boleh tahu asalnya dari daerah
good.
mana, Kak?
Where are you from?
Jakarta Selatan.
I'm from South Jakarta.
Baik.
Wah, ada satu
Oke,
lagi.
ada satu lagi ya. Oh,
And
udah
one
pas.
more.
Laki-laki satu.
Oh, we have a good pair. One man and one woman, and the other one is Dave.
Halo Kak, sehat-sehat.
Are you good, Dave?
Nah, kalau Dave,
Dave, where are you from?
asalnya dari mana nih?
Oh, belum.
Oke, tadi mic-nya lagi nggak bisa. Kenalin aku Dev
Sorry,
Sugiarto.
my mic was not working. I'm Dev Sugiarto from Surabaya, and I'm with my delegation from Association of Indonesian Health Major Students. Now, let's choose. Dave, are you going to review session 1 or 2? And which one will Sanata review? Maybe you can ask Sanata first. She can choose and I will follow suit.
Udah siap banget kayaknya ya.
Oke, kalau gitu Kak Sanata mau sesi 1 mau sesi 2?
So Sanata, which session are you going to review? Because I did not join session 2, so please allow me to review session 1. Of course,
Sesi satu yang paling aku dapat dari kemarin itu
what I learned from session 1 is
kalau semestinya industri tembakau
statement that the tobacco industry or cigarette industry
sampah
should be accountable
jadi penyumbang sampah terbesar.
for the cigarette butts that have become
Dilakukan
the
oleh industri
biggest type
itu
of
dan
trash,
rokok yang
and the greenwashing that those companies have been doing so far are not worth
dari
the trash and the disruption they have caused.
Masyarakatnya sangat disayangkan karena
And
lingkungan dari rokok itu masih sangat sedikit diketahui oleh masyarakat.
it is unfortunate that not
Padahal jika
many
kita
people are aware
melihat
of the environmental
lingkungan rokok,
impacts
kita ketahui bahwa
of cigarette butts
dampak rokok bagi
to
lingkungan itu lebih
environment.
besar daripada yang
And the
kita
impacts of
ketahui.
cigarettes or
Ini bisa
tobacco
berdampak yang langsung
is
terhadap
much
kesehatan
greater
masyarakat sendiri.
than
Itu
just
sih
the
pelajaran
its
yang dapat
correlation to
Wow,
health
sangat
issues.
komprehensif ya highlightnya.
Very comprehensive highlights.
Berarti memang
And
rokok tuh
to
bermasalah
add to
dari
that, so
produksinya,
cigarettes
distribusinya sampai
have
dia dibuang di
caused
sekalipun itu adalah menjadi
problems and
polusi.
issues starting from the production
Iya.
until
Silakan.
the end
Terima kasih
products
banyak ya
where
teman-teman
the
atas
cigarette butts
highlightnya di sesi pertama.
become
Selanjutnya kita langsung
trash.
ingin
Thank you
mendengarkan
for the
dari
highlights
sesi
and
kedua
review.
dari
Now we are
rekan Dave.
continue to
Silakan
the
Dave.
second
Oke, baik.
session highlights
Kebetulan
from
tiap kali
Dave.
aku lebih tertarik
It
kalau
is
misalnya
interesting.
kayak sesi satu jelek, cuman aku lebih
Very
suka kalau
interesting.
misalnya
Well, it
sesi
doesn't
satu
mean that
bagus
session
karena
one is less
aku
interesting, but I
dari situ
was
belajar banyak soal konsumsi rokok
most
elektronik
interested
atau
in second
rokok
session because I've been
konvensional
learning
atau
about
non-konvensional.
electronic
Sebenarnya rokok elektrik itu
cigarettes.
jauh
So in the
lebih
second session, we
lebih
got the
beresiko
conclusion
gitu
that
ya untuk
electronic
budaya.
cigarette
Jadi
is not the
bisa
solution
berkecimpung
to
juga dengan
address
industri
smoking
rokok gitu ya. Dan
habits,
selain itu saya juga
and
belajar tentang
it is only an excuse from
regulasi
this
rokok di
tobacco industry in
Indonesia gitu.
Indonesia. So
Dan
we also learned about the
ketika saya
regulations of
menyadari
tobacco
bahwa
industry
cigarettes
in
itu cukup
Indonesia,
menghambat, bukan
and
hanya untuk
this was
kesehatan
already
saya
registered by other
pribadi,
ministries. So Ministry of
regulasi
Health is a bit behind the
industri
others.
kedepannya terutama untuk
So we hope that they
selain
can
itu saya juga
produce better regulations in relation
mengkritisi
to
tentang
electric
hubungan
cigarettes. Then we
manipulasi
also learned
rokok
about
yang biasanya
the manipulation by
sebagainya.
cigarette
CSR
companies.
tuh sesi satu ya.
They
Kemarin juga kita juga belajar
talked
tentang
about the CSR in the first session, and in the second session we
bisa
discussed about the manipulation of the
stigma positif
cigarette industry where they
dan sebagainya.
create a positive stigma and branding about their
Oke, luar
products.
biasa sekali ya. Terima kasih banyak Kak
Great.
Dave. Jadi benar
Thank you,
bahwa
Dave.
rokok itu
So it
sebenarnya
is true that
membahayakan kita
cigarette
karena
industry
seperti yang
only
kita ketahui ya
play
seperti yang
tricks
kita
on
bahas
us
kemarin
because as
contohnya
we know and as we
vape
learned
padahal
yesterday, they always
kejahatannya itu tidak ada
claim
nikotinnya
that
karena mereka menjajakan nikotin
vape
itu
is zero
berlebihan gitu
nicotine,
dan
while
ternyata
actually there's always
dengan
nicotine in
tuku baru yang baru
that
keluar ini bisa
electronic
merokok
cigarette,
kemana-mana
and there
gitu
will be
ya.
more
Oke,
lies
terima
and
kasih banyak
tricks
Kak
that
Dave
the
dan
cigarette
Kak Risa ya
industry
atas highlight-highlightnya
publish
target
to trick the young
kita
people.
pada hari
Thank
ini.
you for the reviews and
Betul
highlights.
banget nih ya.
Those are very
Yes,
insightful.
betul banget.
Dan tentunya
Thank you.
ayo ikuti sampai akhir
And
ya.
for other participants, please stay with us to the end of the session.
Bahasa isyarat kita
We also have our sign language
terima kasih
interpreters.
sudah hadir.
And thank you for attending.
Ya,
And we
betul
hope
sekali.
that
Selain ada juga
this
nih
session will also be inclusive.
mengikuti
We have also interpreters who will be with
belajar
us.
menjalan tembakau sambil belajar tentang
So
tobacco.
they will be interpreting to English, and you will be able to learn about tobacco and also learn English in the same time. We have interpreters because we have participants from outside Indonesia. So please
Dan
stay
sebelum
tuned
kita
with us.
berlanjut ke sesi selanjutnya,
Now, let's move to next session.
itu adalah Youth and I
Uh,
yang
this is about youth and IO session that will be moderated by a cool and creative young person.
Bukan penuh karir.
They're full of work,
Karya.
majestic work.
ya. Salah satunya adalah berkarya
One of
tentang
the work
kondisi
is
pengendalian tembakau.
on the issue of tobacco control.
Bisa disuarakan melalui karya.
So, when you are restless about an issue,
Ternyata bisa jadi
you
karya.
can put the feelings into a work. So you don't only share your feelings on Twitter, but you can create a work. So here are the work that our moderator has produced. But I'm not going to share with you the name, but let us watch a video.
Dear Mr. President, my name is Julio and I might happen to be just another young vocal resident. But sir, the fact that I'm here is an accident cause I'm about to sue big T. I got evidence. They get enough people in our economy. Millions of people have died and this is irony. After all of this, sir, I propose to set us free. Provide harmony by signing FCTC. Manipulations everywhere. They undermine your efforts on COVID. They keep on forgetting, they keep on deceiving, they keep on lying, keep on killing as long as they are profiting. It has to stop, it has to stop. That time is up, that time is up. We're rising up, fighting back, getting no rights back. Hey, they manipulate it, whatever they chase it. Has always been the cash and pockets of the poor and the younger's pal. Pockets of the poor and the younger's pal.
You lie to that saying the stupid stick would be relaxing. And you'll be blaming my dad smoking. No way, that's a victim. You know you're causing that every 6 seconds you are killing. As promotions are getting, now you say you want whip me smoke. Free concerts? No thank you. You think you can buy your voices with sponsored event too? Generous? No you're not. You exploit the underage scholarship, such a fake. Now that's nuts.
Hey big T, you can manipulate me. We're wide awake, we agree to FCTC. I hear she. Now it's become a we back things up, you've been joining me. Woo! Hey big T, you can manipulate me. We're wide awake, we agree to FCTC. I hear she. Now it's become a we back things up, you've been joining me. Woo!
Keren banget ya.
Keren banget nih karyanya.
Tepuk tangan
That
dong.
was great. Please give him a big round of applause.
Merinding banget sih Kanina. Aku dengerinnya tadi ya.
So,
Mahakarya.
restlessness can be a word, a champion at the national level. It even reaches out to international level. So the song is 1 minute long, but the messages are so rich. There were words about you manipulate me, not me, but us,
Nah, ini salah satu contoh
and that we have to be careful. So this is an example of us creating work, and this is a good example because that's what we're going to discuss in our talk show.
berkaryanya bisa juga di media
So
sosial dengan cara
we can during this submit, you can also make your work. You can post about this event on your social media.
di Instagramnya
You can post and visit our Instagram and also our website nyctc.id. Then you can also go to our YouTube account.
dan tayangan kali ini juga ada di Instagram live-nya
And our
instagram.id.
Instagram is also broadcasting this live. So just go there and click and follow.
Terima kasih banyak ya teman-teman ya. Nah, kali ini kita akan berjumpa
And now we are going to meet with the maestro,
ini ya. Kita akan
the
berada
great creator.
idea session yang akan dimulai
So we're going to continue to the youth idea creation session moderated by Julio Adam Pratama.
ia suka membuat karya
He produces work in terms of songs, writings, and videos. And through his work, Julio promotes issues such as gender equality and also tobacco control. And one of his work is Stupid Little Stick, a song that we just saw, and it received an award as the third winner in global media competition in 2020 in the commemoration of No Tobacco Day.
udah 2 kali ya gitu. Nah, saat ini Julio
And at the moment,
badan web hosting sebagai wakil
Julio is a web hosting engineer to facilitate a lot of people who's making their work on websites. So let's invite Julio Adam Pratama. Apology, audio is not audible. Interpretation is affected.
halo Julio suaranya belum terdengar nih. Kayaknya Julio sudah
Iya.
banyak ada kata-kata nih, tapi kita belum bisa dengar.
Iya.
Hi, Julio. It seems that we can't hear you. What about now? Yeah, we can hear you now.
Oke, thank you. Thank you, Kak.
So you can continue, Julio.
Pagi teman-teman semua.
So good morning, everyone.
Sudah bergabung di sesi hari
Thank you
ini.
for joining
Salah
today's
satu
session. My name is Julio.
jadi pembaharu muda
I'm
dua
part of
dari
the
IYSTC juga.
Pembaru Pemuda
Kali ini saya akan berbagi
2 and I
sebagai
as
moderator dalam
IYSTC.
Youth Meaning
I
for
will
Action bersama
moderate
My
today's
Campus Tembagapura.
session.
Sebelumnya saya juga akan share sedikit latar belakang kenapa sih
And
sesi
before
ini
we begin,
diadakan.
I'm
Jadi
going to
salah
share
satu
why
tujuan
we're having this
IYSTC
session.
adalah
As we all know,
citra baik di hadapan
the
melalui
tobacco industry is trying to create great
diantaranya
image
melalui
before the youth
CSR misalnya
through marketing,
beasiswa
CSR, and
pendidikan,
also scholarship
beasiswa olahraga,
in education,
dan masih banyak
sports,
lagi.
music concerts, and many
Sehingga
others.
publik menerima baik industri
So,
rokok dan menganggap rokok itu
and
normal.
this is aimed at
Agak
public
jarang
receiving
juga
tobacco
saya
industry
mendengar narasi
as a normal
bahwa
industry.
oh industri rokok itu
And then they make us familiar with the narrative that
padahal
the
itu cuma upaya mereka
tobacco
menutupi nama
industry
mereka.
uh,
Dan
has
juga
created great young people,
CSR
but
ini jelas menargetkan kita
that's only a brand and image, and they clearly target the young people, the youth, because they are important for the industry. We are the source of their profit. Without us, they will go bankrupt, and this is also validated by their internal document.
remaja hari ini
The
adalah
content is
calon
that
pelanggan tetap
the
dari Esop
youth
bukan
today
rokok
are our
mereka masih remaja.
prospective
Jadi bahkan mereka
uh,
mengaku itu.
loyal
Nah,
customers
kali
in the
ini kita
future.
akan diskusi
So
dan
today we are going to
benar-benar kita
discuss
mengundang
and share
anak-anak inspiratif
and get
dari
insights
berbagai
from
negara termasuk Indonesia
inspiring
tentang
youth
gimana anak
from
muda
various countries, including Indonesia,
dan menolak
about
negosiasi
how young
industri
people
rokok.
are
Kali ini
fighting
ada tiga topik
against
yang
and
narasumber
refusing to
Lisa Lu.
become the targets
Yang
of
pertama adalah
tobacco industry.
youth
First, we have Lisa Lu.
lokal.
Lisa
Yang
Lu
kedua
is an
yang ada
activist
Youth
in
Advocate of the Year
Say No to
tahun
Tobacco Industry, and she
2020.
received
Jadi
the
pada tahun
award
2016 ia
in
mendirikan
2020, and
IYTC namanya,
she
International Youth
established
Tobacco Control.
IYTC, International Youth
IYTC
Tobacco
ini adalah
Control, and IYTC is a
organisasi dari
non-profit
200
organization
remaja SMP
that consists
di
of
Indonesia
200
di
junior and senior high school
Amerika,
students in US, Canada,
Jepang,
China, Korea,
Filipina,
Japan,
Arab Saudi, kebanyakan sih
Philippines,
pokoknya.
Saudi
Yang
Arabia,
penting
and many
mereka
others.
memiliki
And she
usaha
has played
sekarang
a great
berjualan
role in
tembakau berpusat di Washington
advocacy
County.
to
Menjadi perempuan
fight
yang
against
diperlukan untuk kebijakan adalah
flavored
youth
tobacco, and
representation.
she has been
Jadi Lisa
speaking
ini
in
sebagai
public and in various
presidennya
press conferences.
dari
So she always
IYTC
communicates the importance of preventing
perkenalkan
children and youth
teman-teman, apa
from
kabar?
the hazards
Ini
of
Lisa.
smoking.
Tapi
She's cool, huh?
selain ada Lisa juga ada Wanda dan
So,
Shiva. Wanda dan
we're
Shiva
going to listen from her, and besides that,
anak
we will have
yang
Wanda and
merupakan
Lisa.
leader
They're
dari
two out of the
gerakan
5
tolak
Indonesian youth.
Jadi tolak
They are the
negosiasi ini
leaders of
diinisiasi
the
oleh
movement
mahasiswa
called
dari
Say
90
No
sekolah di
to
5 kota di Indonesia.
being set as
Gerakan ini
targets.
berhasil mengumpulkan 150
So
juta
this movement
rokok di sekitar
uh,
Indonesia
were
dan 60
successfully
mahasiswa
took down
mencapainya di
150
Indonesia termasuk 5 kota yaitu
tobacco or a
Jakarta,
cigarette
Padang, dan Jakarta.
banners
Kampanye ini
in
juga
Padang,
mencapai lebih
Jakarta,
dari
and some other
2.000 orang
cities
dan
that are put up around
menjadi
schools.
trending
And the
topic. Jadi
hashtag
keren banget. Gerakan ini akhirnya juga menginspirasi
became
sekolah-sekolah
trending
lain,
topic
sekolah-sekolah
for
lain.
some moments, and this
Bahkan sampai
movement
direplikasi di 20
inspired other schools
negara
and
lainnya
was
oleh
replicated in
CTNY dengan
24 other
keren
countries.
banget dan
So
juga
it's
sebenarnya
really great,
jadi
and
apresiasi
I know that we are
untuk
very
itu
eager to speak to them,
sambut sama-sama
to hear them
Wanda
talk,
dan Shiva.
speaking. So let's welcome Lisa Lu, Shifa, and Wanda.
Halo.
Hello.
Selamat datang teman-teman.
Welcome,
Senang bisa bertemu di
colleagues,
hari ini.
friends. I'm happy that I can meet you today
Mungkin untuk membuka diskusi
to start our discussion, the first question I would like to ask to Lisa. Lisa,
Menurut Lisa secara global,
do you think globally
fenomena atau masalah yang
what is the
menyebabkan
phenomenon or the problem that happens
perlawanan terhadap
that cause the youth to fight against the use of tobacco or cigarettes? Go ahead, Lisa.
Thank you for that question, Julio. This is a very important question because I believe that's why we're all here. It's so great to see so many youth in this webinar right now. That is an inspiration to me personally, and I believe to so many tobacco control advocates that youth are working on this problem. So the question is, why are we working on this problem? And the answer is because we see what is happening to our classmates, to our peers, to our siblings, to our friends, to those around us. We see what the tobacco industry has done, and that's why we're acting. Right? Of course, in different countries, there are different problems related to the tobacco industry. For example, in the United States, e-cigarettes, electronic cigarettes, they're the big problem in high schools and middle schools. They are the main gateway drug that is leading youth to use cigarettes or heavier drugs afterwards. Whereas in some of the other parts, for example, South Africa, where my nonprofit just had an event, the main problem there is hookah, or what they call it hubbly bubbly. Right? In the countries like China, the main problem is cigarettes. But regardless of what the problem is, there's one thing in common, and that is they are created by the tobacco industry. And that's why we are here to advocate. Because when I see my classmate having to go to the bathroom during class just to vape, I feel something. Because when I see an Indonesian toddler smoking 40 cigarettes a day because he started picking up cigarette butts from the street when he was 1, I feel something. And because you see your classmates and your peers undergoing addiction and withdrawal symptoms, you feel something. That's why you advocate. So the reason why we are here today is
Itulah
because
mengapa kita berada di sini. Karena kita telah mengamati ada masalah yang sama yang disebabkan oleh industri tembakau demi keuntungan mereka yang dirasakan oleh kita semua, pemuda-pemudi. Itulah sebabnya kita bertindak dan mengadvokasi. Itulah mengapa saya
and thank you, Julia, for such an amazing introduction. And the whole motto behind the nonprofit and all the work that you're doing is to involve more and more youth to join this fight. And it's so inspiring again to see all of you here. And I'm really looking forward to an amazing discussion with you.
Awesome, thank you so much Lisa. Terima kasih Lisa. Jadi setuju banget
Thank
ya.
you, Lisa.
Karena memang kenapa
I totally agree with you. We are here because we see by ourselves, our friends in schools, around our environment, they are addicted to get the effect from the tobacco industry. We feel something, and that's why we are here today. Hopefully this can be an inspiration to involve more people, more youth. So cool. Next question, Lisa. How do you move these youth to be involved, to get involved in our fight against the tobacco industry?
That's another great question, Julio. I would divide my approach into 2 parts. First, inform, and second, inspire. In order for anyone to act upon a matter, they have to first know about the problem. They have to know that this problem exists and that this problem is about them. So informing students about this problem is the first big step. Because I'm sure all of you are aware of this as well, that if you just go out to the street and ask someone what is the biggest problem you think that plagues youth right now, tobacco control may not be the number one answer. And that's because people don't have enough awareness about this problem, because maybe schools aren't, including educational materials about how big this epidemic has become. And as a result, youth don't see that as a problem. So in order to mobilize and invite more people to advocate, then we first must inform youth that 1, this is a problem that concerns all of us because we are the target of the tobacco industry. Right? But secondly, this problem needs to be resolved right now for XYZ reasons. So that is the first step. And then the second step is to inspire. So we are young, and to a lot of people, age means a lot when it comes to the ability to make a change. But what we have to realize is that our age doesn't matter, but our voice does. When we go up to the legislature and we talk about what we believe in, the stories that we've seen, that's so powerful. And that is another layer of power in addition to the research and statistics that have been generated by research professionals. And when we tell youth that they have the power to make a change, then they'll be inspired to make that change. So in my nonprofit, International Youth Tobacco Control, we have youth ranging from middle school to college students who are going into the state senate, who are going into Congress, who are passing legislation across the nation with the help of our colleagues, right, who are going to city councils, making a public comment to talk about how they feel about this bill. And when we see city council members or Congress people unanimously approve this bill because of what we have said and what we've testified, that's a testament to how our voice has power. And so this is a positive feedback cycle where you encourage youth to do something, they do it and they see the positive result from it, and they continue to do more and more of it. Okay, so in order to mobilize more and more people, we must first inform them about this problem, making them understand they have to act, and secondly, let them know that they have the power. It is their voice.
Wow. Thank you Lisa. Setuju banget. Jadi teman-teman.
Thank you, Lisa. I agree. So, Lisa, according to Lisa, there are two ways to involve more youth. The first one is to inform, make sure that we inform them enough knowledge why they need to be involved in this movement. So, what problems we really face every day. Like Lisa said, we have this problem that people are not aware because they don't know about this. And second, we need to understand the value of our voice. We need to be aware that our voice is meaningful. It's not like we are youth and we feel that we have no power. No. Our voice, our youth voice can be meaningful because Lisa can meet policymakers and also make them understand the youth voice. I think that's very inspiring. Thank you so much, Lisa. Next question to Wanda and Shiva. Wanda and Shiva are also cool people. Lisa does her movement abroad, and Wanda and Shiva in Indonesia. I would like to ask Wanda first. Wanda? Reject to be target. The actors are youth, and the campaigns are also done in school environment. Why do you choose schools? What problems do you guys see? Thank you, Julio, for the time and opportunity. Can you hear me? Yes. Why schools? My answer is in our one-day activities, in one day, 24 hours, we can divide it into three. 8 hours are spent in schools, 8 hours in our house, and 8 hours for us to take a rest. So during the 8 schools that the youth spend in schools in Padang city and maybe in also in several other cities in Indonesia, the youth can easily be exposed to cigarettes or tobacco advertisements posted along the way from their homes to schools. They can see many tobacco advertisements from the community health center, go to school. Along the way, they also see many advertisements. That's why we need to start a movement to protect the youth so that they are not exposed to those advertisements. It means this movement is started from our concern. Who should be responsible for this? That's why we start this movement along with our friends all over Indonesia called Tolak. menjadi target, reject to be target, rejecting the tobacco industry who targeted the youth as a smoker since young age.
I see, benar ya.
Oh,
Sebenarnya
I see, I agree.
anak-anak sekolah menghabiskan
Because
waktu di sekolah
again,
gitu ya, dan
students
karena
spend
udah banyak
a lot
teman-teman
of
yang diajak
time
oleh
in
merokok, makanya
schools
akhirnya
and their
sadar betapa
environment
pentingnya.
is
Kalau misalkan
exposed
Shiva gimana?
by the tobacco industry. What about you, Shiva?
Shiva punya pandangan sendiri atau alasan
Do
sendiri
you
nggak?
have your own reason why you need to start from schools? Thank you, Julio.
Kedengaran.
Can you hear me? Yes.
Melanjutkan apa yang Kak Wanda bilang tadi,
To continue what Wanda said,
target utamanya memang adalah
the main target
dan kaum muda
is all of us, children, youth, and most of us spend most of our time in schools from the morning until afternoon
maghrib atau malam baru.
or
Jadi sebanyak
until dusk.
itu dihabiskan di
So most of our time we spend in schools, and the tobacco industry utilize this condition. For example,
banyak sekolah berderet di situ, wah
in area where there are many schools, we can see many cigarette advertisement, many brands of cigarettes,
apa selang-seling gitu, saking banyaknya. Dan
so many. And we all know that tobacco advertisements target or attract children and youth. They don't put children and youth on their advertisements, but the content can attract youth and children. We see that the advertisements are cool, very interesting, very attractive. But actually what they are advertising is tobacco. So most children, most youth will think that cigarette is a cool thing from the advertisement that they see around their schools. And in Mataram, my city, and I think also in several areas in Indonesia, there are many small shops around schools. And this small shop also get utilized by the tobacco industry to put their advertisements. They put banners there, advertisements there. So when the children and youth buy stuff from those shops, they can see those advertisements. So every day, continuously, youth can see advertisements, cigarette advertisements. Why? Because the industry, tobacco industry, wants to target them, wants to attract them. So unconsciously, they think this is a normal thing, this is a cool thing, this is a good thing. So this is a strong reason for us to protect students. In Mataram, we try to protect children since elementary school, primary school, middle school, high school, because schools are usually clustered in certain area. So this is our main reason to make a movement to protect our friends, our young friends, to stop this problem, to solve this problem. And hopefully we can also reach more youth. So that is one of our reasons to start this movement. Thank you.
Setuju banget Shiva.
I agree with you, Shiva,
Karena balik lagi,
because
kita
again,
menghabiskan banyak waktu di sekolah ya, bahkan
youth,
yang
children
sampai
spend
ada kegiatan di
most of
ekskul
their
gitu.
time in
Itu
schools.
emang bener
They
banget
have
dan
extra
aku sangat apresiasi sama
curricular
Shiva.
activities also in school.
Dan tadi kan Shiva udah cerita nih kalau di
And
Mataram
you
itu
said that in
ada
Mataram
beberapa orang
City,
sekolah dan dari
there
orang
are
tua
many
pun
small shops
melarangkan
around
anak-anak
schools.
untuk nikah
And
gitu.
we can always see
Kalau
cigarette
misalnya
advertising banners
perspektif
there.
Anda dari kota
What
mana
about
dan
you, Banda?
gimana
Wanda?
Kak Wanda? Apakah sama dengan apa yang terjadi di Mataram atau
Do
mungkin
you also see the same thing in your city? Or do you have different story? Wanda, is from Padang City. It is the capital of West Sumatra province. It is one of the 34 provinces Indonesia. So Lisa can know about this, that Indonesia has 34 provinces. One of them is Padang, and 350,000 of Padang's population is under 18 years old. So they are students, and we facilitate schools in Padang, about 30 something schools in Padang. They are not aware that schools are smoke-free zones. While at that time we already have Minister of Education's regulation that stipulate that schools are smoke-free zone, and the Padang government also have their own regulation concerning this, but people are not aware about this. Smoke-free zone doesn't only mean that you cannot smoke over there, but it also includes you cannot put promotional stuff, advertisement there. But schools do not know about this. And after we facilitate 30 schools and start a movement, reject to be target, and we can gather around 1,000 students in Padang City to join this alliance. And they do a very challenging act. Why? Because adults maybe never think about this, which is to change all of the banners, tobacco advertisement banners around schools, change them with something that are students friendly. And many people object to this. But before that, we already train them. We facilitate them so that we can solve this problem. And after we change those advertisements with other things, the media hear about this. We attract media attention, local media and national media. And at that time, when we meet the policymakers, which is the mayor and officials in the local government, we meet them, we meet the local parliament members, and also the mayor. And what started as we just want to give them awareness that schools are included as smoke-free zones, we can meet with the policymakers, and they are willing to listen to us to ban tobacco advertisements there. In that area, in that city. So beginning from our opinion to ban the advertisements from schools, the government banned the advertisements in Padang City, all over the city. But another department in the city object to this because by banning these advertisements, they will lose income from tax. 5 billion rupiah. They lose the income of 5 billion rupiah. It's a big number. But the youth keeps advocating this policy. We call this a meaningful participation. Meaningful participation is one that can convince the policymakers that the movement that we are doing has a big impact to the local development, to the regional development. So since 2018, in Padang City, you cannot see any more tobacco advertisements, although the city lost 5 billion income because of that. But this is worth it because that's why we can enjoy the demographical bonus in the future. I agree with you, Wanda. Thank you for sharing. So we have many problems, objection from the public and shop owners, and also the government. And from your explanation, we can imagine how you fight for this cause in Padang.
dari masyarakat dan juga
So the challenge for Wanda is rejections from the community. Now, what about your story, Shiva? At the beginning, we did the same thing. So we had the same capacity. At the beginning, we had our capacity building for our colleagues, our friends at senior and junior high school. So we were the targets. We are the target. So we have to know how much we are worth in the eye of the industry. So we have to analyze the situations around schools and what we can find around schools. And most of us admitted that our schools are sort of surrounded by the cigarette advertisements. So then we agreed that we had to change the advertisements to those that are child friendly. So we collected data, how many kiosks there are, where are their locations. Then we communicated with the school and kiosk owners. Some of them welcome the idea because they can understand the idea, but some others reject it because they say no. The industry, the company gave me some money. I got paid to put up the advertisement. You cannot just replace the advertisement like that. Although the amount might not be worth the impacts, but because they did receive the money, they refused to take down the advertisement. And when we were replacing the ads in some locations, there were sort of sales of the companies who go around and offer the cigarettes. So we had communication with them. So they told us that they gave the banner to the kiosk because they aim to sell the cigarettes. Then we argumented that the schools are now cigarette-free zones. Why did you put up the banner? So we had that kind of discussion with them, and we had strong standing points. We had strong statements too. And of course, this way we can show strong reasons to the kiosk owners, the community, and also the salespersons or the marketing persons who visit the kiosks every day. What's also interesting is that after the action, some media covered our activities for their news. Then the provincial secretary requested to meet with us to discuss about the issue because they heard some students dared enough to change to replace the banner. So we need strong commitments from the government. In Padang, the government is very supportive of this, but in Mataram, the government perceived that these efforts only take out their income from the advertisements. Because just right in front of our gates, school gates, there's a Videotron. Videotron playing the advertisements of cigarette industry. So this is a big challenge to us. So it's good that you build your capacity, then you work together, then you can fight against those challenges. and you could do you can make some advocacy efforts. I'm really happy to hear your story because it reminds us the importance of our voice as the youth. Thank you for sharing your success stories. Now I will go back to Lisa to hear her success stories. So for you, Lisa, what achievements have the youth in your country achieved globally?
Thank you for that question, Julio. And it was such a joy to listen to Wanda and Sifa as well. Those were great insights regarding their work in tobacco control. So, in terms of what youth here in my organization have accomplished globally, there are two main accomplishments. One is our work with Disney, and two is our work with Formula One auto racing. So, I'll start with Disney first. I'm sure we're all familiar that when movies depict smoking scenes, youth see that as something that's cool and want to imitate. And that's a huge initiator of teenage smoking and tobacco use. Now, Disney previously had banned the on screen showing of all smoking scenes. However, in 2019, they purchased 140 films from Fox, and some of them contained smoking scenes. So the problem was, if Disney were to air these movies, then all the youth, all the little kids who are huge Disney fans would see these smoking scenes, and there exists this threat that may become an initiator of tobacco use. So we worked with a lot of local organizations, universities like UCSF and Stanford, and many others to write to Disney to convince them to eliminate the smoking scenes from these movies. And we have people writing from the United States, from Saudi Arabia, from China, from a bunch of other member countries to curb this problem. And that really is a testament to the ability for youth to make a difference. Because when the CEO receives letters from youth regarding this issue, that's a whole new different perspective. Now, the second huge accomplishment that youth here have been able to accomplish globally is the Formula One campaign. So as we know, Formula One is becoming a younger and younger sport. It's thrilling, it's cool, and a lot of my friends watch Formula One as well. It is the highest level of international auto racing, has a huge fan base. Now the problem is, it is also the last sport to allow tobacco sponsorships. So right now you can see on the McLaren race cars that there are huge Velo logos on there, or other tobacco products. And the thing with that is youth are prematurely, predisposed to these tobacco products because they're viewing Formula One materials. So then we approach this problem starting in last October through two ways. One is we wrote an open letter to the president of the FIA, which is the governing body of Formula One. This letter we authored with 16 co-signatories. Indonesia was one of our partner signatories. So we're very proud of that. And in this letter, we talked about basically what the youth are thinking, that this is a harm to our public sphere because we're being predisposed to tobacco products. And we did get a response from the president addressed to international youth tobacco control. And in this letter, he wrote that he's deeply aware of the problem, but there's nothing that the FIA as the governing body can do. And of course, we're not satisfied with that because we want the governing body to be the one taking action. Because a lot of times when that's left to individual countries, there doesn't exist a uniform solution to this problem of teenage tobacco use. So then we initiated a second campaign. And this campaign is called Dear FIA, a message from youth around the world. And that's a video campaign where we gathered video clips from youth around the world regarding their thoughts on the FIA's continual permission for tobacco companies to sponsor race cars. And in that video, we had youth from Sweden, from Indonesia, from Mexico, from South Africa, from the United States, from China, from a lot of our member countries in international youth tobacco control. That video amassed over 100,000 views on social media. And over hundreds of engagements. And right now, we are partnered in Spain because the Formula One just had a race in Spain. Are also doing something similar in terms of the hashtag We Demand Action. And that's super, super powerful because the we in that sentence is we youth. And we're demanding action because we're tired of having this happen to us where the tobacco industry is able to enter into these other spheres and predispose youth to the harms of tobacco products. So I see this a as a very good example in terms of what youth can do globally, because simply speaking and using your voice can amass so much attention on social media and create such an impact. And of course, we'll be continuing to work on this issue.
Wow, thank you so much Lisa. Jadi keren banget ya. Jadi
Thank you so much, Lisa. It's very cool. It's very great. So Lisa and her organizations has advocated even up to reaching out to Disney and F1. So this is really big work. And this movement is initiated by Lisa and other youth in the world. So you can imagine that youth can have this powerful voice, because, and it is true that as simple as using our voice can make us be heard. Again, thank you, Lisa. Next question. So we've been discussing about the importance, how important it is to realize that our voice is meaningful, then our voice can make changes. And Lisa has shared with us how some examples of the changes in the global sphere. And then Siva and Wanda also shared about the change in Mataram and Padang. In reality, when we ask other young people to join our movement, they would say, we're young people. We cannot do much. What can we do? There are a lot of doubts, and it's okay. So what do you think are good ways so that they can realize, so that youth can realize that they can make a voice? How can we make them be aware that our voice can create changes? Shiva, what do you think?
Terima kasih Kak Julio.
Thank you, Julio.
Laksanakan beberapa kegiatan bareng ya di
When doing some work together,
teman-teman di sekolah ya, ada yang bilang
so let's say some of my friends at school, some friends would say, Shiva, you know, we cannot do this. There will not be any impacts. I used to be very pessimistic because some of my friends were sort of losing hopes. But I feel that we had to prove that we have a voice, that our voice is important. The way I did it was to invite them to join us. Then we moved together simultaneously. Then they can feel, oh, something that I was doubtful of at the beginning and something that I thought will not bring any impacts eventually change. There are attention now. The government now has better awareness, and this is something that the youth themselves aspires. So, and we can prove that the youth can do something because we know our position. We are the target, so we have to do actions to show our rejection, to show that we don't want to be the target, and it raise the awareness of people around us, the government, the teachers at school, the people's representatives. There are smaller impacts, like at school when other schools declare themselves as a school as cigarette-free zone, admin staff who used to smoke at school, they will still be smoking, but they will not smoke around school area, because if they do, the students will come to them and say, "Hey, don't you know that our school is cigarette free? Please stop smoking here." So the people around school also feel that this is the aspiration of the young people, and then we have to support them. And then we start getting support, and they join the movement, and they start also to realize that the voice of young people really matters. I agree with you that at the beginning we may feel pessimistic, we may have doubts, but we just ask them to just join us. Then once they're informed, we can start doing things together. I agree with you, because that's also what I experienced. Only later we realized that we could make changes. Then what about you, Wanda? How do you make other young people sure that their voice can be heard? Yeah, there's a big challenge here. We make them realize that there are challenges. So what we did was we we put them as the subject of our movement. When media ask for interviews, for example, we don't. I'm not going to be the only person to speak. I ask my members to speak, and when the governor spoke to us, I also asked the other members to speak to the governor instead of me. So we want them to practice voicing their aspirations. And then when we were about to launch the regulation, uh, tobacco industry entered the area. So there was a tobacco farmer association who came to Padang, and then they conducted an FGD, focus group discussion, and they even invited us to do an FGD to have discussion on that. But I said no. Uh, and we tried to confirm to the governor, although there are many institutions that would say do not prohibit advertisements because that will give your city revenues. But we persisted. And we trained the members, students, senior high and junior high school students, to speak about manipulations by the industry, by tobacco industry. This is a kind of advocacy language that they use. We know that what we do may not be much, but if we do it consistently, it will bring great impacts, and it also affect other cities in West Sumatra. There are 114 cities in West Sumatra, and they have started to have same commitment. We work with other organizations like Gagas and others to make prohibition for cigarette advertisement as an indicator in child-friendly city. So one of the indicators of child-friendly city is not allowing cigarette advertisements around the city. So we got really great impacts. And for Lisa, I will invite you to Padang City, or at least to Indonesia, to speak to Indonesian youth face to face. And of course, we will need collaboration, and I believe that our struggle will not cease. And as Julio said, we will prove those challenges can be overcome. And I'm grateful that many cities can say no to the cigarette advertisement.
I agree, Wanda. We need to give a space and opportunity so that the youth can meaningfully get involved, so that they really understand we are the target, we are the subject, the most relevant population in this issue is us. So we are the one who need to do something. So I agree with you, Wanda. So from our today's chat, maybe you can also collaborate with Lisa. You can invite Lisa so that Lisa can inspire what she does in the international stage. Maybe she can also inspire our youth in Padang. Back to you, Lisa. We have heard how to answer the doubts locally in Indonesia. Then how do you convince the youth over there so the youth do not doubt that their voice are meaningful?
Thank you for the question, Julio, and thank you for the invitation, Wanda. Happily take you up on that offer to visit Indonesia. And you two are amazing advocates in this field. I would love to collaborate further with you in this common goal of tobacco control. Now, to that question, both of the answers given were great answers in terms of encouraging youth to continue to take action. Now, I want to talk about something specific in terms of what we see in the United States, and that is the power of role models. When we see youth who are making a change with their voice in the field of tobacco control through their advocacy, then we as youth are inspired. Because if we see someone else can do it, and they're 15 years old, 17 years old, then we're like, I can do it too. And that's why these webinars are so important, because this is where we invite youth who've done work in this field to share about their experience, to inspire other youth who are potentially interested in this field, so they'll be encouraged to take action. It is the most convincing when we have youth telling other youth that they can do it. When it comes from an adult, from a professional, that doesn't carry the same weight as when it comes from another youth. Right. So Wanda and Sifa already covered this very well, so I'm not going to talk about it for too long. But the power of role model is so important. And when we have youth like Wanda and Sifa, and so many of you here who are continuously telling other youth to join this fight, that their voice matters, and when they show the result that these legislations are being passed, that youth are more educated because of the events that we're hosting, that is the best evidence to convince people that their voice matters.
Setuju. Power role model, setuju. Dan dengan menunjukkan bahwa someone can do
I
it.
agree. By showing that someone else can do it, a 15-year-old can do it, and by what they do can make a change, it has a different impact if someone else, an adult, say it. If another youth say it, then we can relate. We can understand that we can also do it. Thank you, Lisa. So applause for all of us, for Lisa, Wanda, and Shiva. You guys are awesome. Even as a moderator, I'm very inspired with what you guys just said. And hopefully our participants today can be a role model to your peers, and you can work together, move together to fight the tobacco industry. Okay, maybe the last question. If
sebagai closing statement ya, what do you want to say?
As a closing statement, what do you want to say to the youth who are watching our webinar today? What is the message, the brief message that you want to say to them? Wanda, you first.
Ya, untuk anak muda dimanapun
For youth, wherever you are, and if you still think you are young, or people who still that you are young, I would like to say that dedication doesn't know about age. Dedication only needs consistency and collaboration. So whatever we do, if we are consistent and we are willing to collaborate with many parties, then the movement will make a change. We can do it now. So let's work together to create a meaningful participation to protect our youth from being targeted by the tobacco industry. So I said reject or decline to be target. Thank you, Wanda. What about you, Shiva?
Baik. Sebenarnya singkat.
Actually, I just want to say that we are the target and we need to take action. We need to get involved. Our voices are meaningful. Our roles are meaningful. We have important roles. So let's together reject to be target.
Oke, kalau Lisa,
Awesome. Lisa,
apa kira-kira kalau misalnya Lisa yang pengen Lisa sampaikan buat anak-anak
what do you want to say to our youth in Indonesia?
A common theme that we saw in this webinar is voice. And that's the message I want to leave you with last. Because in the very beginning, I said I was super excited to meet every one of you. Because every one of you has a special power. The power of your voice, which is also the power to make a difference. And the world always needs young voices. And the world of tobacco control needs your voices. Whether that's speaking in front of the legislature to demand action to protect youth, whether that's speaking to students about the harms of tobacco, whether that's posting on social media to spread awareness, whether that's telling your friend to put down the cigarette, big or small, these instances of young voice carry power. Your voice carries power. Your voice is power. Now, in this summit that will continue on, you will be equipped with the tools to make a difference. You'll learn about the harms of tobacco products and the current legislation in your country that will be able to protect youth from the tobacco industry. And then you will make a choice on whether you want to use your voice to make a difference to protect others. Now, throughout the summit, I encourage you to ask questions, to participate in discussions, to pledge to join the fight, and decide that you will use your voice. Thank you.
Awesome. I love your energy. Setuju. Jadi kita punya kekuatan yang
So
spesial.
we have a special power, which is our voice. Whether when you meet the policymakers or as simple as social media posting, each one of them is meaningful. So let's be actively participate in today's discussion. And next is our Q&A session. If you have any questions, please raise your hand or type down your question in the chat box. Let us make sure that our chat box is a safe space for everyone. So for anyone who has a question, please raise your hand or write it down on the chat box.
Silahkan teman-teman kalau ada yang ingin bertanya.
So we have 15 minutes for this Q&A session. Let's see the chat box. Okay, we have people raising their hands. First is Dave. Dave, go ahead.
Halo Kak, oke. Kedengaran ya?
Hi, can you hear me? I would like to ask Lisa, can I use English?
Boleh bahasa Indonesia, ada interpreternya juga.
You can also speak Indonesian because we have interpreter, but can I use English? Yes.
Thank you. Hello, Lisa. Thank you for the time that has been given to us. My name is Dev Sugiarto. I'm as the CEO of Indonesian Health Student Alliance. It was amazing. I checked your LinkedIn and see your movement from the LinkedIn. It was very amazing, and it's still amazing. It's been and always been our motivation here. I have a question for you. The first one is about the age differentiation. We know that the terms in youth, your youth movement, there are so many classes to do. There are so many approach that we can do when we are talking about the tobacco control, right? My question is where can we get the most effective or maybe the most meaningful participation results of the tobacco movement? What's the different, what kind of approach that we can do in every age group? For example, a senior high school group, college group, or maybe 10 to 15, 15 to 18, 18 to 25. Maybe for junior high school, the goal is maybe to inform them. Maybe for the senior group is to about advocating something to the government. What can we do? Will it be different or will it be the same? Thank you.
Thank you, Dave, for that question. And I'm glad you found me on LinkedIn. If you want to send a connect request, I'll be happy to connect with you on there. But back to your question. So it's a very good observation that, different populations would require different approaches. And, tobacco control measures can start as young as when you're in elementary school. If you want to, teach students about the harms, so they'll be aware of it when they step into middle school or high school. And of course, it can extend way beyond then into college, since, a lot of initiation starts there as well. So one big thing you have to take into account when you plan your approach is, what are the characteristics of my audience? So in my nonprofit, International Youth Tobacco Control, we recently started an initiative to build educational materials for different age groups. Now, when we talk about the price of a cigarette, right, if we're talking to a high schooler, they'll understand immediately. Okay, $6 a pack. That makes sense. Right? So if we multiply that, that's a couple thousand a year. However, if we're talking to elementary schoolers, they may not have a good concept of what $6 a pack is. But if we translate that into, oh, that can buy you a teddy bear. And in a year, that can buy you a couple hundred teddy bears. All of a sudden, that becomes much clearer. Right? So when you understand the characteristics of each group, right, what do young people care about? And what do they want to listen to? And what do older people care about? What do they want to listen to? Then you have a better approach in terms of what materials do I want to include. And in terms of advocating to legislature, right, there isn't a specific age range that is the most optimal, right, to do that sort of action. Anyone can do it, right? But everyone will approach from a different perspective. Right? Someone who's in college, maybe they're studying economics, they may want to approach it from a more economical perspective when they talk to their policymakers. As someone in middle school, they may want to speak about their narrative, the stories that they've seen around them that made them want to advocate. So the activity is the same, whether we're spreading awareness or whether we're talking to policymakers. It's based on our age. What is the context? What is our experience? And as a result, what is our message? And huge congratulations to you. Very impressive that you're initiating your organization in Indonesia. Happy to talk more after this as well.
Awesome. Oke, keren. Thank you so much, Dave, untuk pertanyaannya dan terima kasih juga.
Thank you, Dave, for your question, and thank you, Lisa, for answering.
Pertanyaan selanjutnya.
Next question. Let me check who raised their hand.
Laki-laki sekarang perempuan.
So
Aku lihat ini ada Foni.
we had Dave. Now I will choose a lady, Foni. Foni, please unmute your mic and ask your question. Halo.
Ya, selamat pagi.
Good morning.
Pagi.
Ya, saya mau tanya mengenai
I want to ask about electric cigarette.
ada bea cukainya.
Do we have customs excise tariff for electric cigarette?
Thank you so much, Foni.
Thank you so much, Foni, for your question. Maybe Wanda or Shiva can share your perspective on
Kalau misalnya tadi kan apakah udah ada cukainya dan
electric cigarette, whether it already has customs or excise imposed on it. Vape or electric cigarette is a new phenomenon in Indonesia. So when we talk about tobacco control, vape or e-cigarette is not included in an explicit specific regulation. Therefore, some shops selling e-cigarette sometimes they do not have the legal legitimation. So that's why we need to push on about this together at a national level to make e-cigarette included in a regulation. If you know about this regulation, a very technical regulation by the Ministry of Finance, it is a very technical regulation, but we need a national level law. Therefore, several tobacco control alliances in Indonesia, they are advocating a policy to revise the government regulation number 109 of 2012. If we revise this regulation, then we can include an article about e-cigarette to make it as a tax object. So we can impose tax and excise on it.
Rigid mengatur tentang itu.
But currently there is not a rigid regulation on this. And in Padang, we also find this phenomenon. So when we say this is a smoke-free zone, but they are saying that this is e-cigarette because you don't burn this using lighter and so on. This is an e-cigarette, so it is not included in the smoke-free zone. So we need to also educate people about this. So one of the challenges is there is no one firm or rigid rule that regulate e-cigarette. What about you, Shiva? Do you want to add anything? I think what Wanda said is already quite enough informative. We can go to the next question. Thank you. Thank you for your question. We will go to the next question.
Ada siapa? Ada. Give me a moment.
So let's see who is next.
Ada Devi.
Devi? Devi from GKP. Can I ask you about using sign language? Yes, please go ahead. Sign language. I'm waiting for the translation from the sign language.
Halo, sudah bisa melihat saya?
Can you see me? Yes, my name is Davi.
Saya banyak melihat tentang ini ya, gerakan
I
tentang
see a lot about movements for tobacco control. I think this is very important.
memang harus
Especially
gerakan itu
for youth. The youth needs to participate in this movement.
wujudnya seperti iklan rokok itu
For example, for cigarette advertisements, school students need to fight against this because it has a bad impact to school students, but for our community, the deaf community, since we have limited access to information, we can only read text. So many of the advertisements really impact our community. And we in the school for the special needs, we also don't get enough information about the danger of cigarettes, the hazards of cigarettes. They only know that
ada juga contohnya seperti Coca-Cola itu
for
juga
example, Coca-Cola, they support, for example, sport events, but tobacco industry also support sport events. But our community feels that we are not involved enough in this movement. I think our community, the deaf community, also need this kind of information so that we can also take part on this. Thank you.
Terima kasih. Oke. Mungkin pertanyaan ini
So,
siapa di antara Wanda, Shiva,
who,
mau jawab kira-kira?
Wanda, Shiva, which one of you do you want to answer this question?
Boleh, siap.
Oke.
Siap. Ya, terima kasih Kak Davi.
Thank you,
Senang
Davi.
melihat Kak Davi di
Thank
sini.
you,
I'm glad.
Davi. It's good to see you on this webinar. And this is an important feedback to us
Dalam setiap gerakan kami,
that
teman-teman
in any movement,
harus inklusif,
we have to be inclusive. We have to engage everyone.
Ini juga menyadarkan kita semua bahwa
The pandemic also
teman yang lain juga yang mesti terlibat.
raise our awareness that there are others that we have to embrace, that we have to engage. Then any movement, any activities have to be friendly to colleagues, to friends with disabilities. So we can see how powerful Gaddafi's voice is. And we are aware of this, and hopefully we will make sure that our next activities will be inclusive. And for you, for anyone in this space who also make similar activities or programs, please make sure that they will be inclusive too, because there are many friends of ours that have to be engaged. Once again, thank you, Davi, for the important feedback.
Jadi inklusivitas itu memang sesuatu yang harus kita.
I agree. Inclusiveness is something that we have to encourage.
Setuju.
Yeah, we agree with you. Because we want you to take a meaningful participation. So this is an effort from our side to increase the inclusivity, and we have the interpreters to here as one of the proof.
Mungkin pertanyaan terakhir ya, aku baca dari
And last question.
buat Lisa.
This is specifically for Lisa. This is a brief question. Let me read this out. Good morning, I'm from the Philippines, and this is my question.
At the national level, lobbying and dialogue with legislators may be difficult, depending on the current administration, particularly in my country, Philippines. What other options, maybe movements, activities, do we have at the regional, city, or community levels? Maybe, mungkin Lisa bisa jawab pertanyaan ini.
So Lisa, can you please answer the question from Angelo?
Hi, Angelo. Thank you for that question. That's a very good question because that means you're observing that change can happen in the local, state, and national level. And of course, that is something that we try to approach in the field of tobacco control. Right? We hope that change can happen on the national level, and because that can influence the most number of people. But at the same time, we understand that it's much harder to pass on the national level because there are more barriers and more procedures that you have to go through when something is that big. Which is why we always strive to have a backup plan where we try to do something in the local or state level. Now, I can give you a very simple example in the United States. So in 2019, we passed a bill in the House of Representatives called HR 2339 that would ban the sale of all flavored tobacco products. And that's been a policy that we've always strived for. Now, that passed the House and it got to the Senate, but before the Senate was able to vote on it, the congressional session ended. To put it in simple terms, that means the bill kind of just vanished and we can't go forth with it. And so that's an example where we strive to do something on the national level, we saw some success, but at the end it failed. So what happens then? That's when we go to our backup plans. So in the state of California, we passed a bill, SB 793, that would ban all flavored tobacco products in California. And we can fall back on this bill even though the national one didn't pass. And let's say in a state where there isn't a state bill, then we can follow local city bills. For example, in Los Angeles, they just passed the ban flavored tobacco products. In other places, the same thing. So when you advocate for different things on local and state and national level, you're going to see change much more quickly. Yeah, so thank you for that question. And as I told Julio, I unfortunately have to go soon. But if anyone has any other questions about tobacco control, about International Youth Tobacco Control's work, you can always feel free to email me. The organizer of the summit has my email. Happy to share it with all of you. Just feel free to shoot me an email. But I do have to leave. Thank you.
Oke, terima kasih banyak Lisa udah jawab dan semoga hari ini hari yang baik buat Lisa.
Thank you, Lisa, for answering, and thank you for presenting to us. I hope today is good for you. We have come to the end of the session, and I will sum up the session. So there are a lot of success stories at district level, also provinces level, and there are also great results and success stories from activities, campaign on offline, and also advocacy to large companies like Disney and Formula One. So there are a lot of sample success stories, and the events like one that we do today can be a space where we exchange stories and inspiration. And I hope our discussion can inspire you too. If you still had doubts at the beginning of the session, I hope that you are more convinced now to take parts to voice our voice, to raise our voice. And even for people like me who is not so young anymore, who is now trying to get my career, there are still rooms to contribute. So thank you everyone. I'm Julio, the moderator, and I will end this session. Now let's invite Tim to share with you what we're going to do next.
Oke, boleh.
Ya, selamat pagi teman-teman semua.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for staying tuned with the Youth Tobacco Control. I'm going to share with you conclusions from the sessions. So after the first session that we had, so from Lisa Lu, we learned that conventional and electronic cigarettes, as we learned from the first session, has become a serious problem in big countries like United States. And the strategy to market cigarettes are the same. They target on youth, and there are two ways of things that we can do to prevent this. So we have to inform the public, namely the youth, about the impacts of smoking. Then we have to inspire. our voice as the youth is important. If we raise our voice to decision makers, to the government and the House of Representatives, then our voice can be heard. Then, if we send letter to the authorized institutions to make sure that the industries, entertainment industries like Netflix or Disney or organizers and sport institutions like FIA to not receive sponsorship from cigarette companies, that can be heard too. And then from Shifa, we learn that the industry take benefits of students' time who where students take quiet long time at school to stay at school by putting on the advertisements board around school. So there has to be capacity building for our friends, for our peers at school, so that they will have strong standing points. So we should know best our worth to the cigarette industry. Then we also need commitment from the government. Unfortunately, our government still consider the revenue that they could make from the cigarette industry. And many of our peers, many friends are pessimistic at the beginning, but we still have to engage them, reach out to them so that they will be more involved. Then Wanda also shared about the advertisements put up around schools can be an inspiration to start a movement. Now the movement has become the attention of the government to change the situation. So, and this also encouraged meaningful youth participation. And this movement also shared their participation to the government and also to uh, the farmer of tobacco, and it started in 2018, but until now Padang City will not receive revenue from tobacco advertisement anymore, although they have lost 5 billion annually, but it is not worth the future of the young people. So I'm going to read out our recommendations. First is the recommendation for government. First, government prioritizes the health, the community and human health, namely the youth, so that they are free from conventional and electronic cigarette addiction. May I see your reaction for the first recommendation? Will you approve this recommendation? Can you give your reaction? Do we agree on this recommendation? All right, this is already agreed. Then the second recommendation to the government: regulate entertainment and sports industries so that they are free from the interest of cigarette industry. Do you agree on this?
Apakah terdengar, teman-teman? Ya, jelas ya?
Can you
Oke.
hear me now? So let me repeat number 3. The third recommendation is to support meaningful youth participation, such as further study, trainings, campaigns, and advocacy to support implementation of no non-smoking area and prohibition of cigarette sponsorship in many events. Can I see your reactions on this? So you agree on this too. So let's continue to the recommendations for the public. First, the youth will have to actively raise voice about the problems caused by conventional and electronic cigarettes to all community, online and offline, in inclusive and meaningful manner by engaging all elements in the community. Is it agreed?
Baik, disepakati. Kita lanjut teman-teman ya.
And let's continue to take active participation in research, campaign, and advocacy to anticipate conventional and electronic cigarettes. Can we agree on the second point?
Boleh lihat reaksinya? Ayo.
Can we see the reaction?
Oke, disepakati.
Okay.
Poin yang terakhir, teman-teman.
And the last point.
Walaupun penerimaan
Although the revenue from electronic cigarette has been regulated in Minister of Finance regulation, the distribution has to be regulated and has to be monitored by the public. Can we agree on this?
Sepakat ya kawan-kawan? Sepakat.
We also agree on this. And
perjalanan kita baru dimulai.
so we just started our journey. And let's make these recommendations come true and make sure we monitor the implementation. Thank you.
Baik, terima kasih banyak Kak Gian yang tadi sudah membacakan.
Thank you again for reading out the recommendations for government, public, and all of us. Hopefully, we can implement those recommendations. And thank you, Julio, and our great persons for this session. So, what do you think, Arya, about the session? So, I was really excited. I'm quite touched because now I know that the struggle of the young generation is really good. There were stories about tobacco control and also others, and hopefully this could make us be more aware of the issue and the work. And as our keynote speaker yesterday said, so after we know about something, then we have to be able to share that information so that we can have joint awareness. Yeah, because now we know that the voice of the youth is heard, is worth to be heard. So we have had talk shows, discussions, and Q&A. Now it's time to go to the fun session. We will have some games. But let me test first. Please turn on your camera and we will we will say our jargons together. So please unmute and let everyone hear our voice. Are you ready?
Siap. Dan semua. Iya ya, mulai terdengar gimana? 2022 terus to power. Sisi muda bermakna.
Yeay. Yeay.
Pendapat dan komentarnya.
Thank you for your opinion and comments.
Yes, akhirnya kita tiba di sesi yang kita tunggu-tunggu nih. Kita akan beranjak kepada idea talk
So
session yang
next,
akan membahas ide-ide keren anak muda yang telah
we will move on to to talk about the ideas or idea competition. We have so many participants from all over Indonesia. So we have 47 masterpieces because they are all very interesting and inspirational and very out of the box.
Aku suka bocor-bocor rahasia nih dari kemarin ya.
And one of them is, oops, I don't want to give a teaser here or a spoiler here. So the game idea competition will be moderated by Janita. She is or he is a head of global no cigarette movement. Oh, the movement's name is 9 centimeter. It's the length of a cigarette. And she is currently taking her master degree in University of Indonesia. Her passion is to research human public health, which make her make a research on tobacco use. And let us welcome Janitra.
Halo, selamat pagi menjelang.
Hello, good morning, good day. I'm really happy that I can be a part of this summit. I think this is very cool. I think this is like a movement for tobacco, the greatest movement for tobacco control in Indonesia for the last decade. So this session will spread a very positive vibe for you. So if you want to clap, jump around, do it. In the last session, we call this idea talk show. I'm sure you cannot wait to see the masterpieces. And we have invited 3 participants with the highest score. Let's see how they create these ideas for the summit. In this session, the competition of creative game concept, we have started this competition from April 2022 with 47 participants from all over Indonesia who create many creative games, and they will present the game that they have created, and we also have commentators. I will first introduce the 3 commenters. First is Tanaya Sindu Ganari from the National Children Forum. Tanaya is a teenager teenager with a passion in social organizations and topics related with education, women empowerment, and child protection. She is still in middle school or high school, and currently she is attending Tumbuh Junior High School in Yogyakarta, and she's also active in the school organizations and also the religious organizations and also in the local children organizations. Halo Tanaya. And the next commenter is Mr. Dok Warisdiono MM. He is from the Directorate of Elementary School from the Ministry of Education and Culture of the Indonesian government. He is currently the analyst since 2021. He is an analyst in his institution, and before that, he's part of the subdirectorate of curriculum for elementary schools, and previously in the subdirectorate for curriculums for middle schools, and he had his degrees from Bandung University and Bogor University. Thank you for being here, sir. And also welcome to. And the third commenter is Rika Fonseca Ningrum Suwardi from IYSTC. She is a consultant for campaign for tobacco free kids, which is based in which and its headquarters is in Washington DC, but she is based in Indonesia as a coordinator since 2021. And she's also a communication and media consultant since 2010 until now. And she graduates from a Netherlands university. She majored in public relations.
Pada 2001, kemudian juga
she got her degree in 2021, and also International College of Tourism in Japan. And she also student at the Institute of Political Science Jakarta, also learning public relations. Welcome, Rika. I hope our three commentators are already here. And I also would like to introduce the participants, the three participants who today will present their masterpieces. The first is Nisa Nurjana from the University of Adiraja Sariswara Sanjaya. She is from Cimahi City, and her masterpiece is titled Smoking is Uncool. If you are Team Lisa, please voice your support in the chat box. So this is one of the three finalists. Her masterpiece title is Smoking is Uncool. The second finalist is Anggita Eka Wardani. She is a blogger from Surabaya, and her work is titled Zamruliswa, Emerald Archipelago. The third one is Natsiva Nasar Muslim. She's from Serang, but she's studying in Malang University, and her work's title is the Cigarette Hazard Warning Card. So let's listen to these three finalists. Each finalist has 7 to 8 minutes to present their work and to demonstrate their games.
Dipresentasikan atau panitia yang membantu. Jadi aku sapa dulu mungkin ya untuk
So first I would like to greet the first finalist, Lisa Nurjana.
Sudah hadir, Kak.
I'm here.
Halo Kak, selamat datang di IYSTC.
Hello, welcome to IYCTC. How are you today?
Senang tapi agak deg-degan juga, Kak.
I'm happy and nervous at the same time.
Tapi senang dan penasaran nih Kak. Oke, selamat datang Kak Lisa.
Welcome Lisa, and we also have Anggita. Anggita, who is Anggita?
Belum terdengar.
We cannot hear you, Anggita.
Atau aku aja nih yang belum denger ya.
Can you hear Anggita?
Oke, mungkin bisa mungkin bisa dibantu dulu sama panitia. Saya akan
maybe the organizer can help her. I will talk with the third finalist, Nazifa first. Nazifa, can you hear me? I'm Nazifa. Can you hear me? Yes. So we have our three finalists here, and all of them are girls, women. So women are creative because the top three finalists are women, girls. I'm proud of you, girls. Lisa, go ahead. Do you want me to share my screen, or will the organizer share my presentation? Okay.
Silakan Kak Lisa, waktunya 8 menit.
Go ahead, Nisa, you have 8 minutes.
Oke, selamat pagi semuanya.
Good morning, everyone.
Saya salah satu
I'm one of the participants
permainan edukasi dan
for the educational game competition. My idea is entitled Smoking is Uncool. Next slide, please. Please allow me to introduce myself. My name is Lisa Nurjana. I'm a college student. My major is communications in ARS University in Bandung City, but my hometown is Cimahi.
Untuk alasannya kenapa dinamakan
Why?
itu tidak keren karena
What are the reasons to create this game? I would like to highlight to the youth that smoking is uncool because youth or children, since they want to look cool, they also start smoking. And I would like to show that smoking is uncool through this game. And I use illustrations, pictures, because the majority of children prefer visual presentation. If we ask them to read many texts, they don't feel like reading it. And the target of this game is children 9 to 12-year-olds or grade 3 until grade 6 elementary school, because children in this age group already have their logics and they can interpret pictures, and the duration of this game is around 40 to 60 minutes. For the material and tools that we need, the first one is illustration cards and the design of the cards. And we also have bingo board, 5 times 5 bingo boards, and we can put like non-smoking picture in the middle and also pencil or pens. So simple tools and simple materials. These are the illustration cards. I made around 22 cards from broken teeth and good tooth, and someone with empty wallets, no money, and someone with lots of money. So there are two types of cards. The ones above.
Yang kartu atas ini desain untuk yang
kayak perokok gitu, terus yang bagus-bagus ini untuk yang bukan perokok gitu. Jadi ada 2 jenis
Oh,
kartu.
the ones above are the bad things. Those are designed for the smokers, and the good things below are designed for the non-smokers.
Dan tujuan permainannya peserta
And the objective of this game is so that the
serta sisi positif kalau enggak
participants can know the hazard of smoking, the negative effect of smoking, and the positive sides if you don't smoke. They know the characteristics of smokers and non-smokers, and children can actively voice their opinion. So train their ability to voice their opinion. And it can be played by an individual or groups, but minimum 2 persons. And the bingo board, you can make it by yourself or by the facilitator. And the steps are, the facilitator will give 24 things related to cigarette, and then the participant needs to write it on the bingo board randomly. And after they are ready, the facilitator will choose the card, illustrational card, and the participant needs to explain about it. For example, this broken tooth. Then the participant will say, is this the characteristics of smoker or non-smoker? If they say smoker, then they need to explain why broken tooth is associated with smoker. If the explanation is correct, then they get 1 point. If not right, then you can move on to the next participant. For participants who give correct answers, they can give the bingo box that they want to mark. For example, the word is pollution. So other participants also need to mark pollution, and then the facilitator need to explain what is the relationship between smoking and pollution. And then facilitator choose another illustrational card and so on. So if a participant gets 1 line on their bingo board, then they will get 2 points. It can be vertical, horizontal, or diagonal lines, and the game ends if there is a participant already get 4 to 5 bingos, or they have used all of the illustration cards. The winner is the participant who get the highest point. The message of this game is to tell the negative impact of cigarette, which is various negative impacts of cigarette for health, social, and economic. And then the positive impact for non-smoking. There are more positive impact from non-smoking. So each picture illustrations have a meaning that is important for the participants to understand, and to train the participants not to be shy or self-conscious when they want to say their opinion. My expectation, my hope is that children will understand why smoking is dangerous, to protect their health, economic, and also achievements, and so that the government will be more strict in regulating smokers, because there are regulations for this, but the law enforcement is lacking. And the third one is smokers need to respect the non-smokers. For example, not smoking in public transportation, because we still see many people smoking when they are on their motorbikes, and it's very disturbing. That would be all from me. Thank you. Thank you, Lisa. Wow, very cute. Your presentation. Thank you. You are very inspirational. May I know, I'm currently in the 4th semester in my university, so you are still a new college student. It's very cool that you can create this very comprehensive game. I hope the game can really played by many people. If you win, Lisa, what do you want to do with the prize or the awards?
Kalau misalnya
If
untuk
my
prestasi
plan,
saya rencananya pengen
if
ikut kampus mengajar gitu kan,
I plan to
atau
join the teaching program
dapat dan ngajar di sekolah,
in
saya
my
pengen
college,
coba permainan itu sama
if I
anak-anak
will
sih.
get this opportunity, I will try to practice this game with children. You mean your friends, your peers? Yes. Thank you. Thank you for your efforts. Next.
Kalau inspirasinya berarti
What
mungkin
about
dari
the
permainan
inspiration?
bingo ya?
Ya dari
Do you get the
permainan bingo
inspiration from bingo
atau permainan
game?
kartu gitu.
Yes, and also card games. So that is the initial idea. Okay, thank you, Nisa, for your presentation and for your game. Good luck to you.
Semuanya boleh kasih reaction dan semangat buat Lisa, mahasiswa semester 4 ARS.
So can you please give your reactions to Lisa and also other colleagues from health faculty or other majors? This is a good inspiration from Lisa. Now let's go back to Anggita.
Apakah sudah bisa?
Are you there?
Aku belum dengar.
I
Sorry.
cannot hear you.
Kalau dari
I'm sorry.
gimana? Teman-teman yang lain apakah sudah di-unmute? Oke. Mungkin bisa ganti device dulu Kak atau ganti
Maybe you can change device
saya tukar
or connection.
giliran presentasinya apakah tidak apa-apa Kak?
Will it be okay to swap your turn for presentation?
Atau reaction boleh?
You can give your answer in the chat box.
Ya, atau mungkin setting mic-nya.
Or maybe you can check the mic setting.
Atau mungkin tanpa headset apakah bisa Kak?
Or without headset, can you just
Kalau dilepas headset
take out the headset?
masih belum terdengar Kak. Masih belum ya. Aku masih nggak dengar Kak Anggita.
We still can't hear you.
Apakah sudah benar-benar di-unmute ya Kak mic-nya?
Did you unmute your mic?
Kalau misalnya tadi ada notifikasi dari panitia.
So if there's a notification from the host, please accept it.
Oke, kalau gitu.
Okay, in that case, I'll give the opportunity to the next participant. It's okay. We will give you the next turn. Nadifa, are you ready? Can you hear me? Yes, we can.
Waktunya 8 menit.
Your time is 8 minutes. Thank you. Thank you, moderator. Greetings. Good morning. The respected commentators and moderators in this idea talk show, and also friends and other participants. Hopefully, all of us are in good health. So please allow me to present my idea, which is called the cigarette danger cards. So this is a health promotion media about the hazard of cigarettes. Please allow me to introduce myself. I'm Nazifa Azhar Muslim, a student at Malang State University at the community health faculty, and I come from Serang, Banten. So, friends, I'm sure you're familiar with this behavior, or this one, or this one. So, the smoking behavior among the youth is quite concerning, and it keeps increasing every year. What can we do as young people in the country? So this is a creative game. It is called the card on cigarette hazards. So this is an interesting card containing information about electric and conventional cigarettes, the impacts, the hazards of cigarettes, and tips how to stay away from them.
belum selesai. Tujuannya untuk memberikan
The objective is to provide information and help the youth to get information about the hazard of smoking. It is a preventive and promotive materials to control cigarettes among the youth, and the targets are youth of 10 to 17 years old. Why youth? It's because youth are the main targets of the cigarette or tobacco industry.
dalam satu kardus permainan ini
In
akan ada
the game package, there will be three items that you will get. First, explanation of the products, how to play, and 42 sets of cards.
pada
And as is a general product, there are some benefits of this card. First, we use illustrated cards that can add more excitement so that the youth can be more attractive, can be more attracted, and the game is not boring. Then the cards, the illustrated cards also helps the students to get the idea, the understanding about the dangers of smoking. And then it is the cards are small, so it is easy to carry and play with everywhere. So the size is like Uno cards, and it contains brief information. So students will find it easy to memorize, and also the information helps them to understand more. So this is the deck, and then the cover of the deck.
Nah, ini ada isi pesan dalam
So
kartu.
these are the messages in the cards. So there are 42 cards. They are paired that contains same information for each pair.
Gambaran kartunya.
So these are also the decks. Definition of electric cigarette, conventional cigarette, the dangerous chemicals, the impacts of cigarettes to environment, to other people, and to one's own health, and also about passive smokers. And there are also tools used for the game. First, as buyer. So the first is the cards, and then pen and paper to write down the conclusions and messages that players will get at the end of the game. And then the next is how to play. So this is played in groups, 3 to 5%, and one mentor. So the participant will take out one card, and then it contains information about to stay away from cigarettes and not to become addictive to it. And then the rest of the cards will be divided among players equally. And when they receive the cards, they will read out the information provided in the card, such as the information about the hazard of cigarettes. Then they will have to take out information with similar information. So this game is like cards that we call as evil cards. So they have to give offer the card to the player next to them. Then that player will have to match the card with the cards that they have. Then if they find a match, they have to store the cards away from the rest of the decks. We repeat the process until we finish all the cards and all participants, all players can read all the information. And then we have to avoid a player who has the stay away from cigarettes card. Then the mentor will ask what type of information the players get about the danger of cigarettes from the cards. It is expected that the cards can be used by parents and teachers to share about the danger of smoking. And this is also expected to be a media to share awareness about the hazard of cigarettes, and can also be an ICT tool on campaigns on anti-smoking for the youth in Indonesia. So that's all for about my presentation, and hopefully my creation can contribute to the awareness raising on the hazards of cigarettes among the youth. And we also hope that the youth will be able to know to learn the information and then do something to help optimizing the community health and to optimize the potentials of the young generation. Thank you. And let us strive together for new generations without cigarettes.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Greetings.
Tepat 8 menit. Terima kasih
Exactly 8 minutes. Thank you
permainannya.
for sharing about the
Inspirasinya
game.
dapat dari mana ya?
Where did you get your inspiration from?
Jadi inspirasinya sebenarnya
So the inspiration was, well, I see that students, young students, they really like playing cards, like Uno cards. So I was thinking that this can be a good media to share information about the dangers, the hazard of cigarettes. How far are you in the education? I'm now in my sixth semester. So you're still very active in your study. Thank you, Nadifa, for the presentation. Let's wait for the comments. If you win, what are you going to do with this game? If I win,
kebetulan saya juga sedang menyusun tugas akhir ya.
I'm also doing my papers on cigarettes too, and I can use this as an education media after the outputs of my thesis are done. And I teach at one organization every week. It's called Abdi Banten, and I teach students. If I win, I can print the cards and try to play the game with the children that I teach. What is the name of the organization? Abdi Banten.
Wah, good luck buat
Good luck
skripsinya.
for your paper. And also, if it is possible, try to write a journal on the game so that there can be a review on your game.
Sama-sama. Kak Anggita sudah bisa
Anggita, are you? Can you fix the problem?
Iya,
Can you hear me now? Yeah, finally we can hear you.
Oke, Kak. Sip. Oke, langsung saja mungkin ya, Kak.
So now you can present your game. You have 8 minutes.
Oke, next. Oke, perkenalkan, tadi sudah diperkenalkan nih sama Kak Jenita, nama saya Anggita, asal Surabaya.
So my name is Anggita from Surabaya. Sorry, the voice is not clear. So I'm with the Blogger Moms community.
Jumanji ya. Jadi
my game is inspired by Jumanji.
tentang bahaya rokok bagi kesehatan, lingkungan, sosial, dan ekonomi.
So this is about the danger of cigarettes. Sorry, the audio is not clear. So the name of the game, Zamrul Istiwa, is taken from the name of the country. So my target is teenagers of 13 years old. Apology, translation might not be available if the audio is not getting better. So this game can be played by 3 to 5 persons. The rule of the game is the following. So I try to draw this. Maybe the drawing is not good because I'm not from design background. So at the beginning of the game, everyone's health score is 100. And then there will be colors. Sorry, again, the audio is not clear.
Itu zona asap rokok. Jadi dia nanti harus mengambil kartu zona bebas.
So the orange one is the cigarette smoke zone.
Kartu zona bebas rokok.
And the green one is cigarette free zone.
Ada zona bebas rokok, zona asap rokok, dan dampak rokok.
So a cigarette free zone, cigarette smoke free zone. Then there will be plus and minus points.
Juga nanti akan berisi penjelasan tentang
And the cards will also contain explanation
kalau tanpa rokok dan juga
about the benefits of not smoking.
Nah, ini contoh desain kartu zona bebas rokok dan zona
This
asap
is the sample of the deck design for education, and then the points that we raised.
Nah, ini desain kartu dampak rokoknya. Jadi di sini lebih
So this is the design about the cards about the impacts of smoking.
Jadi di sini peserta bisa pemain bisa tahu nih bahaya rokok.
So by reading the cards, we will know the benefits of not smoking for the community.
Nah, ini ilustrasi skema permainannya. Jadi nanti di tengah akan ada papan permainan. Kemudian di ujung di luar papan permainan akan dijajar kartunya dan juga ini.
Sorry, the audio is not clear.
Dari saya ini harapan saya untuk masyarakat, semoga dengan adanya jurnalisme ini jadi media asik yang menjembatani edukasi bahaya rokok dalam masyarakat, terutama mungkin bagi orang tua ke anaknya ya.
So we hope that this game can be used by the community, by parents, and government to educate the children that they can be cool without smoking.
Birokrasinya seperti apa itu nanti harapan saya pribadi, semoga jurnalisme ini bisa.
I'm not sure what the democracy will be like, but I hope that this can be used as part of school curriculum to be taught to children and students. Thank you. Let's give her an applause. So what do you think of the game? So this is also cool. It reminds me of a DGO games with uptake, with healing. Are you a mom who loves to play game? Yeah, I used to love to play game, but since I'm a mother now, I don't really play game anymore, but I still like game ideas. Yeah, especially when it comes to educating about the dangers of cigarettes.
Makanya ini saya ikut kompetisi ini, umur saya mepet. Udah 29.
Yeah, I'm a housewife. I'm married, so I'm at the maximum age of joining this competition. I have a son, and the reason I joined this education is because I'm concerned that around my house there are people who will shamelessly smoke in front of my son. He's 2 years old. I'm sure he's very proud that his mom can create a game like this.
Kalau misal Kak Agita berhasil memenangkan
And
kompetisi ini,
if you win this competition, what are you going to do next? I have limited resources, so if anyone would like to develop this game, we can collaborate because I may not have the capacity to do so. So you hope that this can be used by friends, by other institutions, and other people who can use this to play with a broader uh, public, broader audience.
oke, sudah cukup baik. Iya, terima kasih Kak Anggita sesuai
Thank
waktunya
you.
tepat waktu.
Uh, Thank you for being on time. So those are the three presentations. So which one do you think
Kalian dukung siapa?
is your favorite?
Kita masih akan mendengarkan komentar juga.
We will also hear some comments.
Ini ada yang bilang semua
So I'm not going to give any comment for now. We see some participants say that all games are great. Now we will hear from our commentators from Tanaya, Pak Riko, and then one more. Tanaya, if you're here, you can unmute. Hello, Tanaya. How are you? How are Tanaya? How? Are you still a student? Yes, I'm still in my 8th grade. What are your activities? You want to go to school? Yes, but and also focus on the organization because this is at the time when I really enjoy being part of an organization. Thank you for being active in tobacco control. So you saw the three presentations from the participants from the so what do you think about the games? The games are for children your age. What do you think? Before I give my comments, please allow me to introduce myself. My name is Kanaya Sumberganari. You can call me Kanaya. I'm here on behalf of National Children Coordinator. I'm coordinator of the National Children Unit. So I'm 14 years old. This is a disclaimer. So I'm going to speak and comment from my perspective as a child, and maybe from other children's perspective when they're going to play game. My comment might be different from the other commentators who are older and more experienced than me. And the first thing that I would like to say is the message of the work and then the target. So who will be the target of this work? Who is this work designed for? Of course, we have to match the characteristics and the capability of the target age. So, for example, children of 3 years old, they can have the concrete way thinking. So, materials will also have to match this capability. And then for C, we will check to what extent the work will encourage children to communicate and to be creative, and then encourage them to start learning something new. And then how will the work encourage children to start critical thinking? And then the next one is a collaboration. How can the work encourage collaboration, maybe among players or between mentors and players? So please allow me to give my comment. So this is really good. So this is really well targeted. The visual is good, it's very simple, it can be well accepted, the information is clear, and I really like how it allows collaboration So the one player and another can communicate. For example, how many have you got? I got 5. I got 8. So the communication can be good. And then the name, the theme. The theme can be made into more eye-catching and easy to remember. Well, when you say smoking is not trendy, blah blah blah, it is too long. It's okay, but if you can change it into something more eye-catchy, it would be good. Then also do something that is more reflect like a reflection. Like you do a session like you ask them how many bingo did you have, did you get, and then well if you uh get a toothache, what are you going to do? And then the next work is from Nadifa. This is the card about the dangers of the hazard of smoking. This is also very good. The cards are easy to understand, and then with limited words, it helps children to memorize the information. And then, what else do I have to say? I think what I can say is about the target audience, because the target audience is 7 to 10 years old. Maybe you can observe, try this to your children. Check if this game is fun, because for children, for youth of 17 years old, this game can be boring. And then the next is Anggita's work, Zamru Siwa. What was the name? Zamru Liswa. Sorry about that. Uh, so I just knew from the presentation that the city is actually free from cigarette, and this is very well targeted. And for children, for youth of 13 years old and older, it is really attractive because it makes them think, and they can learn about a lot of things from the card, and then they can also learn from the information. And what we need to improve is communication and critical thinking. So it is good already that you have session to encourage the children, the youth to speak. You ask them, what did you learn? Was it a good game? Or you ask them, if you were a smoker, what should you do to make sure or to maintain your good health? So you just add more activities to make sure that they really grasp the idea behind the game. So once again, thank you for the presentation. Congratulations on your great work. I heard that one of you is still studying in university, and then hopefully you'll succeed. Thank you, Kanaya, for very deep presentation.
Apa sih yang dikembangin atau didalemin gitu ya
And
dimainkan kayak gitu. Terima kasih banyak.
hopefully we can develop further from your comments.
Bapak Dr. Insinyur Eko Warisdiono MM, apakah sudah hadir bersama kita, Pak?
Now, Dr. Wardiono MM, are you there, sir? Good morning, Pak. Thank you, everyone. Good morning. Greetings. Thank you, presenter, and also coordinator, and everyone in this forum. Thank you for the opportunity. And what's her name? Anaya, you are so great. You have expressed everything. Your view is very complete. Now I don't know what else to say because she has covered everything. There are few things that I would like to say from the perspective of education because my background is education and what's already explained earlier by Zira Naziwa, we all agree that we should free ourselves from cigarettes. And out of the three games, Lisa mentioned that smoking is not cool. And then about the dangers of smoking and also the Zamru Listiwa.
So each of you has your own uniqueness and strength and model. So when we talk about the plus points, all of you have your plus points. You have your strengths from the perspective of the game substance because you have the same objective, which is to make the audience, the ones who play the game, the children, can understand the substance of those games. I think the three presenters have the same strength. They convey an easy to understand message, easy to understand by the targets, and the media they use are also popular, which is games, and the target is also correct, right on target. Children in elementary school and middle school, they are people or group age which is very vulnerable to their surrounding environment, and we can influence and they can get influenced easily to smoke. So they need to know the danger of smoking. Therefore, the next step after this game or this activity is to make it to make a content, educational content for elementary school, middle school, and high school so that it can be easily accessible, easily used. And the three finalists will be contributors to our national educational program so that every elementary school and middle school child won't be smokers. Maybe you can develop your games further to make it into digital games so that it can be accessed easier by your audience. Maybe the organizer of this event can facilitate this to make this as a digital educational tool because I think each finalist has their own strength, their own model, their own method, and all of them are good. And hopefully through this activity, you can be contributors. You can be contributor to distance children from smoking habit. Thank you. Thank you, sir, for your comments. Before we move to the next commentator, I would like to ask you, as a representative from the Ministry of Education, Are you willing to adapt this game so that it can be used by all students from all over Indonesia? Yes, I think the Ministry of Education really needs the role or participation, public participation, college students for their positive contribution, and we can develop this further so that people can get an easier access to these games, and we can also facilitate that. We from the elementary school directorate, we have forum, web forum, and we can introduce the games through that forum. Yes. So you are ready to follow this up. You already have a forum to introduce these games. Right. Great. Thank you for your answer and your comments, and also your idea to make these games into digital games. I agree because it
Pak
will
Eko,
make
kita
these games
mohon nanti masih
to
bertahan di
be
sini.
more easily accessible to more children. Please stay tuned with us, sir, because we will have a group photo session at the end of this event. The third commentator is Rika Suwardi from CTFK. Rika, how are you? I'm good. Thank you, Janitra. How are you? I'm also good. I'm very enthusiastic today because we have this event. Where are you now, Rika? I'm in Jakarta. Are you ready to give comments to our three great finalists? Yes. Thank you, Janitra. Good morning, everyone.
Ini dulu ya, kasih preambul dulu. Jadi dari CTFK ini
CTFK, we from CTFK are very proud, very happy that we can support you and become a part of this IYCTC program. I listened to your event since yesterday, and it is so refreshing. I hear many new ideas, many new creativities. You are very creative. And to me, as people in this field for the last 10 years, I think you are so wonderful. You are amazing. And together we can build a healthier Indonesia. Please keep this enthusiasm. I am involved in tobacco control activities for more than 1 decade, and for activity and these advocacy efforts by youth are done in many countries, but I only see once, which is today, the initiative to create fun games to educate our youth. And this can make our youth understand the issue easier. So you say that this is dangerous, but why do I see advertisements on TV, etc.? Hopefully we can adopt these games so that we can use it, we can play those games. I would like to congratulate the three finalists who are so amazing. When I was your age, maybe I could not think about this kind of initiative. So you are the top three from out of 47 participants and works. I'm very lucky to be the third commentator because the previous two commentators already provide a very comprehensive comments, especially Tanaya Sindu. You are so great. Your commentators were so great, and Eko Warisdiono also mentioned that each finalist has their own strength and their games can be used by different age groups. I also agree with Eko to digitalize this game so that more people can use it. So I think Tanaya has mentioned everything. I think you are so cool, being so young but very eloquent. And Lisa, I like your game. Very simple, using pictures to trigger young children to think about this. And I think the impact of your game will also be great. And you are very creative in how to convey message and also provide opportunity for players to make conclusion from the game. So you create two-ways communication. For Anggita, you are also amazing. The game's name itself, Zamro Listiwa, from its the name itself is already very cool. It makes people curious, become curious. What is Zamrulisma? They will be curious and want to find, and finally they will find out that it is a game to educate tobaccos or cigarettes hazards, the danger of cigarettes. I think this is my input, this is my feedback. All the games are good, are very cool. But the name of the game, we need to tweak, we need to test it again, tweak it again. So to make sure that if you want to make it digital and distribute it through Play Store, etc., you need to avoid certain words. For example, cigarette. So, although it's about smoking and cigarettes, you cannot use these words to make it easier to go digital. Because usually when the for instance Play Store, if they see a word cigarette, they will immediately reject that application. And I'm also glad to hear that these games can be adapted by the Ministry of Education to educate people. I think that would be all. Tanaya has already given a very comprehensive comment. Thank you, Rika, for your comments. So,
Kayaknya begitu. Iya, gitu.
Tanaya plays a big role in this session, in this section.
Terima kasih untuk komentar
Thank
dari
you
tiga komentator hebat kita pada hari ini.
for your comments.
Mungkin
Thank you to our three commentators.
foto sekarang dulu aja nggak apa-apa.
So before we make a conclusion, can we take a group photo first? I'm sorry, Janitra. I'm sorry, I forget to mention one thing. Please allow me to mention this here. When I listen to this event, I really carefully listen to what Davi said. Davi hoped that the education on the danger of smoking can be accessed by our friends from the deaf community. For the disabled people, so they can also access information on this. So I hope going forward we can also think about this. We need to consider inclusivity. We need to improve all of these materials to make it digital and to make sure that everyone can access it. Thank you for your comment on Davi's opinion, on Davi's feedback. Next, let us take a group photo. For all participants, finalists, and commentators, please turn on your camera. I will count to 3. Organizer, are you ready to take the picture? 1, 2, 3.
Sekali lagi lebih
Once
baik ya
again, smile. Don't forget to smile. 1, 2, 3.
Oke. Baik, terima kasih semuanya.
Okay, thank you everyone.
Ya, sesi pada
So that would be all
siang hari ini kalau sekarang udah
for my section, for this section.
dari Mbak Rika mungkin
And quoting
ide-ide
Rika,
itu baru sekarang ya muncul di acara yang khusus
we only see competition for creative idea for in events to control tobacco. This is a breakthrough from Indonesian youth.
jangan ragu-ragu lagi untuk ikut bersuara ya karena
So please do not doubt that you can also voice your opinion through creative games, advocacy, or simple share of information to people around you. We can also call that movement. So to conclude, to summarize,
dari para komentator kita sudah menyebutkan
our commentators have mentioned that every game is good and has included all comprehensive aspects, health aspect, psychological effect, and knowledge on the effect of cigarettes. Each participant has their own strength, and we can make the games into digital games. And the Ministry of Education and CTFK are ready to follow up on these games, to distribute these games. And messages from these games are simple, easy to understand, suitable for the target, which are teenagers. And if we want to distribute it digitally, we need to review the title of the games so that it can be widely acceptable on digital. It can be accepted on digital platform.
kita semua yang hadir
I hope this section can inspire you, and I would like to inform you
juara pertama itu akan mendapatkan
that the first winner will get 3 million rupiah. The second winner will get 2.5 million. And the third winner will get 1.5 million. And the fourth winner will get 500,000 rupiah. And the fifth winner will get 300,000 rupiah. But I hope the amount will not stop you to keep being creative in creating new works. This section has ended. Thank you for your attention. I would like to give the floor back to the MCs.
Saya terima kembali ya, Kak Janitra. Terima
Thank
kasih
you,
banyak.
Janitra. Thank you very much for moderating the presentation of the creative game competition, and thank you very much to all the commentators, Tanaya, Rika, and Eko, who have given comments on the innovative and creative works. What do we have next, Nina? So we have heard presentations from our finalists. All of them are girls, women, and from the 47 participants, we have selected 5, and we have announced it through the Instagram account IYSTC ID. So all works are good, and the jury had difficulties to select the 5 winners. So the winners' name have been announced through the Instagram account of IYCTC. They will get prizes and the amounts have been announced by Janitra. I hope you can continue your creativity so that your works can also be introduced to all over Indonesia. The participants are students, housewives, and I think this is very great. And maybe these games can be adopted by the Ministry of Education. This will be a breakthrough, the news innovation from the ministry. And I think this is an effective way to inform that smoking is dangerous because when you play and learn, then what you learn can be understand easier and quicker. So thank you for your participants and for filling in the attendance list. So if you fill in the attendance list, besides being eligible to win a door prize winner, and all participants will also get e-certificate by email from IYCTC organizer. So make sure you fill in your correct email address. I would like to invite the organizer to share the links again for the attendance list. Please make sure that you fill in the correct complete name and also the correct email address. Make sure that there is no typo.
Kapital ya hurufnya ya. Betul.
Jadi pastikan ya, jangan nanti komplain ke panitia, kasihan. Oke deh, masih semangat?
Okay.
Harus semangat ya Nina. Mungkin kita tes jargon dulu ya.
Let us test our jargon first to make sure that everyone is still very enthusiastic. So please help unmute all participants. From the 148 participants, how many of you are ready? Are still full of spirit? Are still full of enthusiasm?
Studio juga meramaikan. Oke, siap.
Okay.
2022.
IYCTC 2022. Speaking good power. Speaking truth to power.
Tepuk tangannya panjang ya?
Panjang banget.
Iya. Boleh reaction.
Reactionnya boleh ya.
What about the reactions? Hearts, thumbs up. Please give as many reactions
Dia akan memasuki pengumuman pemenang
as possible to support our finalists and participants. Can you guess who is the winner? Who are the winners? Write their names on the chat box. I think each finalist bring their own supporters. So I cannot wait to see the announcement, to hear the announcement. So without further ado, it's time for us to announce the winners of the Creative Idea Competition. Creative Game Ideas Competition. Fifth winner will get 300,000 rupiah awards. And the winner is Miftahul Akbar Ramadan from the Indonesian Education University with his work titled Dr. Smoke with a total score of 225. Congratulations to Miftahul Akbar Ramadan as the fifth winner. Next, the fourth winner will get 500,000 rupiah. And the fourth winner is Luh Putu Wulandari Arta with her work Labyrinth Without Cigarette from Kisara, Bali with a total score of 229. Congratulations to Luh Putu Wulandari Arta. And the third winner, one of the finalists who have presented their work, their creative game idea. Third winner will get 1.5 million rupiah is Lisa Nurjana with her game titled Smoking is Not Cool from the University of Adirajasa Reswara Sanjaya with a total score of 231. I see that you are smiling. So congratulations to our third winner, Lisa Nurjana.
Oke, langsung saja. Juara
So
berhak mendapatkan
second winner will get 2.5 million rupiah. And the second winner is Nazifa Azhar Muslim with her work titled Cigarette Warning Card from the State University of Malang with total score of 237. So we already know who is the first winner of this competition of creative game idea in IYSTC 2022. The first winner is Anggita Arkewardani with her game titled Zamrulistiwa from Surabaya with total score of 245. Congratulations to our first winner, Anggita. We are very proud. You can hear us in the studio. And our sign language interpreter also convey our enthusiasm. Thank you very much for your creativities. We are so proud of you. You can listen from our reactions in the studio. Let's see the reaction on screen. Congratulations, we only see 4% on the screen. What about the other one? What about the other person? She cannot come today, but we already have our 4 winners on our screen. Please smile. If you want to laugh, go ahead. If you want to jump, go ahead. Okay, let's take a group picture. I will count. 3, 2, once again. Maybe you want to have a different pose. 3, 2, 1. Thank you. We are also happy to see your happy faces. For the prizes, the organizer will contact you. The organizer will contact you for the prizes. Please be patient.
So we have the prize,
So
the
we have
money, as well as the
money
certificate,
prizes for you
specifically
and
for
also
the
for
students that will
certificate
be very,
and
very
also
useful for you
certificate.
to accompany your
So
certificates, your
congratulations for
college
you.
certificates. I hope that this will help too. Congratulations, congratulations, and I hope that all of you are very enthusiastic to continue what you have done, and I hope that you will be able to create something else, new games. What else? What do we have next? We have come. We will come to the end of our event. Yes, it flies really fast. We've been together for 2 days, even though we meet virtually, but we can actually work on this. And the chat room was very lively. Everyone agrees on everything that we've made on. And then it's remarkable. It's amazing. If the participants are cool, then the organizing committee is also cool. So we have the event coordinator who was very anxious about this whole event organizing because IWSTC 2022 was very successful with all of the participants and also the resource persons. We have Cikal Ardina Sari who will give her closing remarks as well as to close this officially. Cikal Ardina Sari, the floor is yours.
teman-teman
Thank you very
peserta.
much for the participants of the Indonesian Youth Tobacco Control Summit. I am the event coordinator for the 2-day event. Thank you very much for participating in the IYSTC, IYCTC. And this 1.5 day, we are actually becoming the Twitter trend, and the euphoria was very real, and everything was so cool, and it becomes the Twitter trending topic. So I would like to inform you all that this IYCTC event does not stop here. We are going to have the dissemination of leaflet as well as the Youth Jamboree 2022. Let's give a round of applause for everyone here. And IYCTC, in commemorating the World No Tobacco Day 2022, we're going to have the challenges that you can also participate on. The IYCTC challenge to commemorate the World No Tobacco Day on May 31st, 2022. So first, you can participate in the Adu Ide challenge. Here, you could select one of the 7 speak up generation characters in which the video were played quite continuously by our operator. You can select one by download it in the IYCTC website, the IYCTC.id, and you can also upload that in your Instagram account using the caption, the name of the characters that you chose, and also you can say you have an idea, the idea that you have, and continue that with the caption to protect family, friends, and everyone around me from the manipulation of the tobacco industry and support this idea for Speak Up Generation. You should also use the hashtag HTTPS 2022, hashtag Speaking Truth to Power, hashtag IYSTC 2022, and Speak Up Generation. And don't forget to tag the IYCTC's Instagram account, Ministry of Health and Ministry of Environment, as well as our President's account. And it will be depending on the likes and comments. To those of you that receive a lot of likes and comments, you would have a lot of credits. So, in also commemorating the 2022 World No Tobacco Day, we have the Adu Ide Challenge, and further information could be checked in the IWCTC's Instagram account. Not only the Adu Ide Challenge, we have, next please. Again, these are the 7 Speak Up Generations characteristics that you can use to participate in the IWCTC's challenge. We have here Ray, Panji, Pamungkas, Adam, Sri Ayu, Elia, and Utami. You can download these characteristics in IWCTC's website, the iwctc.id. And also, we have the Creative Challenge Jamboree for Youth Pioneer 2022. You can also participate here. The challenges are, and further conditions here, you can open up the Instagram account of the IWCTC, and don't forget to also be present in the Jamboree of the Young Pioneers 2022, and also to disseminate the youth lead. And please also follow the IWCTC's Instagram account. Maybe that's all my information from me, and for further information about IWCTC, you can also open up the social media of the IWCTC. We have the Facebook account of IWCTC, the Twitter handle of IWCTC underscore ID, and the email from the IWCTC. You can open it up in the secretariat and also the Instagram account of the IWCTC at IWCTC ID, and also in the LinkedIn of the IWCTC.id. And that's all the information from me. And again, I have one other thing that I'd like to share with you. Sorry, 2 things. First, you can open up the Mentimeters link here on the chat room. The It will be shared by the organizing committee. I would like to know your enthusiasm for this 1.5 day. So please mention just one word for the IYSTC 2022, Speaking Truth to Power. Please open up the Mentimeter link. With the passcode is 27512029.
Wow, global. Ada lagi? Satu kata.
Please, one word
Acara IWSTC
for the IWCTC 2022. Speaking Truth to Power.
Teman-teman bisa buka ya.
We can open up the link
Sudah dibagi sama teman-teman
that has been distributed by the
sejarah baru. Akhirnya Speaking Truth to Power IWSTC tahun 2022 menjadi sejarah baru kegiatan anak muda di ISUTC ya. Bangga bersatu. Ganal apa ya?
So that's the name.
Berarti ya, mantap sekali. Ada keren. Mantap, banyak banget nih. Inklusif, mantap. International special out of the box, gila ya emang si IWSTC-nya out of the box.
IWSCTC is very out of the box.
Banget menginspirasi, spesial bersama ya, kita harus bersama-sama.
We have to work hand in hand to voice the voice of the youth for tobacco control Indonesia. Again, we have to work together so that our voice is stronger and can be heard by the stakeholders for the protecting the youth from tobacco industry, the manipulation of the tobacco. So initiatives, okay. Oh, powerful.
Nah, bicara perlindungan sosial ke tenaga kerja.
United, yes, we have to be united.
Pemahaman baru,
New understanding.
rokok membunuhmu ya, benar banget ya. Rokok membunuhmu.
Cigarettes kill or smoking kills.
Panik dede, wow. Banyak banget ya teman-teman.
Contoh terjadi gap komunikasi.
Oke, sambil menunggu.
Regulasi yang diterbitkan oleh pemerintah
akan ada tambahan?
Tidak sampai ke level bawah, sehingga timbul masalah.
Oke, mantap.
Anything else? Okay.
Atas responnya.
Thank you very much for your responses for the Truth to Power event. I hope that the IOSCC 2022 will be continued in the next year in 2023. And also, before I end the session, so again, please enjoy the final story of this idea. The 7 young persons know how to fight the smoking addictions. We have to share responsibilities and roles. They are tirelessly and they never give up. And then one day, there is this thundering storm. They fight to save those who are becoming the victims of the cigarette addictions. Then Indonesia was rescued and the people were saved and stay prosperous.
7 anak muda ini tahu berserikat tidak diberi pemahaman, maka akan timbul reaksi-reaksi yang dari sisi negatif.
Mereka tak kenal lelah dan pantang menyerah. Hingga pada suatu pagi yang diiringi hujan deras, mereka berhadapan langsung dengan semua prajurit industri adiksi rokok untuk melawan dan menyelamatkan korban-korban adiksi rokok yang tak berdaya. Akhirnya, Indonesia terselamatkan dari manipulasi industri adiksi rokok dan masyarakatnya aman dan sejahtera.
Baik, terima kasih banyak Kak Cikal selaku koordinator acara IYSTC 2022 ya yang sudah
Thank you very
sedikit
much, Cikal, as the coordinator of this event. There's another surprise.
yaitu adu ide dan juga creative challenge ya. Dan teman-teman peserta IYSTC
And
tentunya
the
diharapkan
participants
ya
of the IYSTC
berpartisipasi dalam adu ide dan juga creative challenge Jambore Pionir Muda. Dan ternyata tadi ada tayangan video juga kan Nina yang menutup seri.
there is also a video that closed this series, the Speak Up Generation. They are united and to fight against the attacks so that Asanesia was safe. So that's to give you an overview, so that we have to have that courage and enthusiasm. Thank you, and I'll see you in other opportunities.
Di Twitter. Keren banget.
Ini kalau nggak karena peserta dan panitia yang keren-keren
Betul.
nggak mungkin bisa sampai trending itu di Twitter.
Ya,
Ini semoga
mungkin.
jadi awal yang baik ya. Jadi
Amin.
semoga isu pengendalian tembakau trending.
Iya.
Hari tanpa tembakau sedunia semakin banyak yang ikutan pakai
Amin.
hashtagnya tadi ya, banyak sekali ya. Selamat
Yes.
ya. Selamat dan sukses untuk kita semuanya.
Kita semua. Ini baru awal perjuangan kita ya Kanina. Kedepannya tentunya kita harus makin terus bersatu ya
Yap.
untuk mewujudkan upaya pengendalian tembakau yang inklusif dan bermakna.
Inklusif dan bermakna. Siap-siap karena saat lagi
Ya.
mau cek lagi semangatnya
Cek
gimana
semangat
untuk
terus
IYSTC.
nih. Karena kayaknya kita
Ya.
masih ada satu sesi yang ditunggu-tunggu nih.
Iya, untuk itu boleh kakak
Yes.
dinyalakan dulu mic-nya
Kita unmute ya.
Iya, coba
Dan
yang di
teman-teman
studio
boleh on
juga
cam.
di-unmute ya.
Iya,
Ya,
boleh
bisa
un-
semangat ya, tolong ya. Iya.
Jadi yang ada di studio ini ada 500 ya.
Oh iya banyak alhamdulillah, jadi sama yang
Ditambah di
banyak
Zoom.
ya.
Yes.
Iya.
Jadi total ada ribuan
Oh, Masya
peserta.
Allah. Belum lagi yang di YouTube
Oh,
IYSTC
betul.
ya kan?
Di live Instagram juga.
IYSTC.id. Oke.
Harus rame.
Ini harus rame karena memeriahkan
Penutupan gak sih?
penutupan dan juga trending 4 ya. Tolong
Trending
ya. Ayo,
4.
trending 4 ya. Oke kalau gitu, IYSTC
2022 Speaking Truth
To power.
Muda
Inklusif bermakna.
Wah.
Kita mau mengumumkan pemenang door
Prize yang kita tunggu-tunggu.
Oke,
Betul.
baiklah. 10 lagi ya.
10 lagi.
Wah, ternyata nih sudah siap. Kita akan lihat siapakah pemenangnya. Selamat kepada
Jeng jeng jeng.
Wow, Sanita Ariba,
Dan juga ada Dave Sugiharto,
Devi GKP,
Argina,
Angela Alisna,
Alisna,
Kailita Kanza,
Kanza,
Nurfiki Al-Amin, dan Sarni
Wakono.
Wakono. Lalu juga
Ada di
ada
Instagram
apresiasi
Story.
untuk Instagram Story terbaik. Ini yang selalu setia ya. Di screenshot, di screen record nih keren banget. Ada @arlia.is, ada @risaldiwajo_ dan juga @nursurya45.
Selamat kepada para pemenang dan tentunya aku ingin kembali mengingatkan ya mekanisme klaim hadiahnya. Jadi teman-teman wajib untuk menghubungi panitia ya melalui private message. Sekali lagi private message ya teman-teman. Karena informasi yang akan teman-teman sampaikan kepada panitia adalah informasi yang private ya. Ada alamat, ada organisasi, nomor WhatsApp, takutnya nanti nyebar kemana-mana. Alamatnya kemana kan Nina? Ke panitia_Erlina ya. Dengan format nama, _asal organisasi, _nomor WhatsApp, dan juga _alamat lengkap. Dan tentunya kami juga ingin mengingatkan ya kepada peserta untuk segera mengisi presensi karena teman-teman peserta, seluruh peserta ya kan Nina, berhak mendapatkan sertifikat.
Ya, jangan lupa untuk private chat ya tadi para pemenang. Erlina akan bantu juga untuk chat di kolom Zoom-nya supaya memudahkan teman-teman untuk mencari ya. Bisa disebutkan juga tadi kalau yang menangnya melalui Instagram, tolong disebutkan user ID-nya supaya memudahkan teman-teman untuk memberikan hadiahnya. Baiklah. Wow, ternyata tiba saatnya kita untuk
berpisah sejenak ya,
sejenak.
karena nanti kita akan bertemu lagi di kegiatan-kegiatan selanjutnya.
Tapi sebelum itu kami ingin mengucapkan terima kasih kepada seluruh peserta dan mitra kerjasama yang telah menyukseskan IYSTC 2022.
Kami juga ingin mengucapkan terima kasih atas dukungan dari media partner,
Bidik Utama,
Protisi,
Win Community,
Ganto,
Pro Health, dan
65 Community Partner.
Iya, terima kasih kepada seluruh
Community
penyukses
partner, media
acaranya ya.
partner, yes.
Community
Betul.
partner, media partner, peserta, panitia yang mendukung narasumber, moderator kami ucapkan terima kasih. Dan juga jangan lupa untuk ikuti kegiatan IYSTC selanjutnya melalui media sosial di Instagram,
IYSTC.id,
YouTube,
di IYSTC,
websitenya.
IYSTC.id.
Iya, betul sekali. Terima kasih atas atensi dan partisipasinya dalam IYSTC
2022.
Ikuti terus kegiatan kreatif dari IYSTC selanjutnya, yaitu Jambore
Pionir Muda, dan akan ada diseminasi hasil Youth Lab IYSTC.
Mohon maaf apabila ada salah-salah kata.
Wabillahi taufik walhidayah. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Sampai jumpa.
IYSTC
2022 Speaking Truth to Power. IYSTC muda, inklusif, bermakna. Sampai